submit the agreement so that our orders can be sent there. And this is according to a meeting he had that was organized by the Kenya Medical Association. And he says once this is done, the country expects to receive its 4.1 million doses this week or early next week. Remember, we'll be getting this vaccine through the COVAX facility, and it receives regulatory approval or emergency use authorization to confirm their safety and efficacy from the WHO. And this is done to actually assure Kenyans of its safety as well as efficiency in dealing with that. So this no-fault compensation mechanism also helps to ensure that people in advanced market commitment eligible countries and economies can benefit from the cutting-edge science that has delivered the COVID-19 vaccines in record time. Who is saying this? Dr. Tedros there of WHO, who is the Director General there. So in the event that you get a COVID jab and you develop adverse side effects, you're set to get insurance cash. So whatever you do with that information, well, that is totally up to you. And to just bring us up to speed where we are in as far as stemming the spread of COVID-19, here's a COVID-19 report by Nancy Okware.
On Tuesday, the number of fatalities resulting from COVID-19 rose to 1,837 after 10 more patients died. The new fatalities are among the highest to be recorded in recent weeks. The number of patients in the intensive care unit has also been on a gradual rise, with the number of ICU admissions currently standing at 55. A week ago, only 37 patients were admitted in the ICU. 344 patients are currently admitted in hospital and another 1,283 on home isolation. The number of positive cases has in the meantime risen to 104,500 following the confirmation of 194 new infections out of 3,935 samples tested. 39 patients made full recovery both from home-based care and hospital, pushing the total of recoveries to 85,665. Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
Are the statistics as it is as of yesterday. 10 succumbed to the virus, while we have 344 patients admitted in various hospitals in the country. So, as an individual, are you keeping safe? Wear your mask, sanitize, social distance, use soap and water. This virus is indeed real. Statistics from the United States yesterday indicated that 500,000 countrymen from the United States of America have since succumbed of COVID-19 since they confirmed their first case in February 2020. So it is indeed real, so keep safe.
All right, let's move on to some good news, at least for our teachers. And is that there are thousands of jobs that are going to be made available, already are available for teachers to apply for. And this is in regards to the incoming national examinations, both for primary and secondary levels. This is in addition to the other 15,500 jobs that were also advertised by the TSC. So now they're going to be hiring approximately 264,446 professionals who are going to be helping make the exam period smooth. And this will include center managers, supervisors, invigilators, examination markers, as well as the security personnel. And all teachers have until Friday to file their applications online on the Kenya National Examination Council's website. Of course, center managers are usually by default school head teachers, that is for primary schools, and principals for secondary schools. However, with the rise of the number of students, because in 2019, the number of students that were taking the KCP exam stood at 1,088,986, and this year they have increased to 1,187,517. And those who took KCSE, or rather sat for their KCSE exams last year, was at the number was 699,745, and this year that number has shot up to 751,150. 250 who have been registered to sit for their exams. So this, of course, will call for more personnel, and also just trying to ensure that they are also in line with the Ministry of Health guidelines when it comes to the further prevention of COVID-19. So all those who will successfully get these jobs are going to be deployed to different sub-counties, and they will be under the supervision of directors of education in this particular sub-counties. And their budget is already underway, so as we gear up for the exams that are set to start on the 22nd of March, that is for KCPE, and end on the 25th, while we have KCSE candidates sitting for their rehearsals on the 25th and starting their exams on the 26th, which will run until April the 21st. So if you are a teacher, you should go on to NEC's website and apply for these positions. They are made available for you to be able to gain, and also just make the examination time a bit easier for the students and just for the whole nation as a whole. So you can read more of that on the back page of the Daily Nation.
So it's kind of
I don't know how we transit from matters of education to looking at matters of reproductive health. Well, there's an article here that has found it.
Okay. She's a presenter, one or presenters. Okay. So she's the one that you agree with.
And the details of it, I must say, are very unpalatable.
Yeah.
And it's about menstruation. And this one goes menstruation break. So enduring sodomy to keep men faithful, only to lose babies. It's not happening outside the country. It actually is happening in Lamu County. What am I talking about? Now, considered unclean, and I'm going to read as the article has put it. This is page 12 to 13. Yeah. This is the 21st century, but let me read it without giving my views in regard to this issue. So Lamu Hospital records 120 cases of stillbirth complications due to anal sex every month. Yeah. Considered unclean for vaginal sex while on their periods, this is a compromise their husbands demand. They threaten to divorce them or marry another wife who will be submissive to their whims should they refuse. And because they want to stay married, the women agree to anal sex, whether they like it or not, only for it to cost them their babies or reproductive health. Midwives at Lamu Hospital. This is according to a report from midwives at the Lamu Hospital. So during pregnancy and childbirth, we have observed that such women face so many complications. From birth asphyxia, poor progression of labor, prolonged second stage of labor, post-traumatic stress, and most of all, perinatal deaths during and soon after pregnancy. So now the midwives have requested anonymity for fear of being targeted, and they say that there are at least 120 such cases per month, which translates to 23% of all births in a month in Lamu. Yes? Yes? Have you processed that? And in as much as we're talking about this is consensual or not, in Islam as well as Christianity, anal sex is prohibited. And I'd want to quote what Islam's take on this. So this is according to Sheikh and Muslim scholar Abdallah Ware of Witu in Lamu West. He explains why the Shiite and Sunni hold varied reservations on why anal sex should happen or not. He says, according to Sunni Islam, anal intercourse is haram, even if the husband and the wife mutually agree on it, because the mutual agreement does not allow something that has been made haram in Sunni hadith. Now, that is according to Sunni. But according to the Shiite perspective, also in the Shiite perspective, what it says, anal intercourse is not permitted, and those who do it say it's extremely maruk, disliked or an offensive act. In the Christian view, Anal sex appears to breach biblical concept of mutual respect and enjoyment between two partners. But this is what is happening in Lamu County, and women are losing their babies. 120 babies in Lamu County die. A month. We're talking about, that is 23%, accounting 23% of the births within that county itself. So, for you to ensure that your husband doesn't divorce you, you agree to this act, then you might actually lose your baby. A majority of them lose their babies.
You know, pregnancy in itself, it's something that no one can really prepare you for. It's a journey you have to discover as you go. It's hard in itself. Of course, there are beautiful moments. And then this, from your partner, and not from a place of love, from a place of threat, demeaning you, showing you how much of an object you are and how dispensable you are.
Unfortunately, this is done during the monthly cycle, something that is that no individual has no control over. To keep their men faithful, to avoid being divorced. I can't deal. I have nothing to say.
And how do they feel when these babies are born resting?
Or even they're born, then they die soon after. Wow. So that's an article if you want to read about this particular story and the situation down in Lamu County, and the midwives who've come out to actually share this, their account down in Lamu County have requested for anonymity for fear of stigma and threats for having revealed exactly what is happening down there. Page 12 to 13 has...
You know, this is
quite the detail.
This is where we draw the line when it comes to culture. Because this is not issues to do with the good of the man or anything. This is pure culture. Pure. Oppressive culture, retrogressive culture. And you can imagine most of these young girls are married off pretty young. And they have to endure this for the rest of their lives.
That I had to read that story in itself on national television has given me goosebumps. Because I have so much to say as a woman, as a mother.
And you know, for most of them, they have to do this because traditionally, being divorced is a taboo. You will not be allowed to go back to your father's homestead, at least as per their traditions say. And you will be considered a disgrace. So they have to do this to prevent divorce.
Hey. I'm trying to see if there's anything that can,
That's a tuende kwa story MCAs. And their car grants.
No, we can't move from that issue, then go to another.
We need to, man, because yo. Hey.
Can't we just look at sports?
Well, before we get to sports, MCAs have been told by the controller of budget that there are going to be requirements before they get these grants. And the counties now have to account for this money. Because according to Treasury, we don't got this 4.5 bill to buy them cars. And according to controller of budget, she says there is facility to give them loans to purchase cars and not grants. So each county has to account for how this money is going to be made available to them and the number of MCAs in each county. Total, we have about 2,224 MCAs in the country. So jiteteeni. Sports.
Now, not even sports. Those who lovers of history, you remember the Al Capone, Al Capone stories, Big Brother and such and Mafia. So there's an article here on page 24 of the Daily Nation. If you've ever had the attempted assassination of Benito Mussolini, who ruled Italy from 1922 to 1943. Now, Violet Gibson, among the 4 people who tried to assassinate the Deuce, that is Benito Mussolini of Italy, she came closest. So that's an article. You can actually just jog your memory, try and see what you think. If you're people who believe in conspiracy theories, a little bit of history would be good. Yeah, remember what it says here. The article has highlighted what exactly happened. So now she fired 1 shot before the gun jammed and was then attacked by Mussolini's supporters and only saved by the police intervening and arresting her. The gun is the one that let her, the gun jammed. Otherwise, she came closest to assassinate Deuce II, called Deuce. So if you're into conspiracy theories, going down history, well, that's an article that is really going to come in, handy today, a day after we're asking what next after Super Tuesday, as well as Trump is now likely to dangle a possibility of a 2024 run. Yes, you had that right. You thought we were done with President Donald Trump, or rather former President Donald Trump. Well, there is a possibility that he may run for office in 2024. Yeah.
There was someone who posted a tweet that Trump is that Castaigne that just won't get off your white shirt.
Using a stain remover or not?
To me, this DIYs, the baking soda, it just won't come out.
Ain't going nowhere.
And that's Trump for the States. But let's wait and see. Let's wait and see how that will play out.
Talking about sports, let me just give you an highlight what has been said. Back page of the Standard. Red hot Man City not ready to tumble in the Champions League. That's what they say, but is it what they're doing? Remember, we are live. We can give you feedback. Now, that is, there was quite a defeat there between Borussia and to take on Manchester City in the first leg of the Champions League, last 16 knockout time. So we'll be keenly watching. They say they're not ready to tumble, but will they tumble? Yes, talking about local sports, we're expecting the Morans back into the country after they did us justice by qualifying for the Afro Basket. That was over the weekend. Then Buzzing Cabra's racing team lays down markers. So what next? The Nakuru Rally winner Chargei targets round 2 after resounding victory in Nakuru. So if you're a petrol head and into sports, that's an article you're going to want to read. Then today's FKF and APL matches is our AFC Leopards will be taking on Ulinzi Stars at the Kasarani Stadium. Mathare United will be facing it off Wazito at Kasarani Annex, while Sofapaka will be taking on KCB at Wundanyi. Western Steamer taking on Nairobi City Stars in Kisumu, while Zoo, Kericho and Kakamega Homeboys will be at it in Kericho. All these matches will start off at 3 p.m. So if you're in any of those places and you want a way to unwind, well, you can get to all those venues there. We have a match in Kericho, we have one in Kisumu, as well as in Nairobi. And, well, we know there are no fans that are allowed, but hi, come on. We know. Ni sawa tu tutafuatilia where we can. I don't know if they're not streaming live. You haven't gotten there yet, but you can continue watching. Sports. KBC has been bringing you quite some matches. So Thursday is the day we still continue with our under 20 there soccer. So do keep it right here. KBC indeed is your true sports partner.
Now, before we get to close, maybe just touch on this particular story in regards to COVID-19, but now matters in the U.S. And this is after they did hit the 500,000 mark. And we did see His Excellency Joe Biden come out to just send his heartfelt condolences to those that have succumbed as a result of COVID-19. And he did order that all flags be lowered to half-mast on Monday after they crossed the 500,000 mark, and did go ahead to just give a moment of silence in front of the White House, the presence of his First Lady Jill, as well as the Vice President. And of course, they had 500 candles that were lit to just represent the 500,000 mark that the state did hit. And according to this piece, unlike his predecessor, Donald Trump, who often sought to minimize the disease, Biden, on the other hand, has made this pandemic his top priority while pushing for aggressive vaccine rollout and making as many public appearances and shows of empathy as he possibly can. The half flag was flags being lowered to half-mast was acknowledged everywhere across the White House, all federal buildings nationwide, as well as in all the embassies across the world. So, however, experts still continue to warn that the U.S. Could still go well over the 600,000 mark, but signs are also pointing to some progress being made when it comes to infections dropping sharply as vaccine is delivered steadily across the states. So more of that you can read there. And of course, they've briefly touched on what is happening in the UK as they are looking to ease some of the restrictions they had put in place, and starting with the lifting of the lockdown to just show the gains that we are making as a global population towards the fight of COVID-19.
Well, bringing to an end rather a couple of matters, news here in the news headlines. We want to remind you that as the numbers stand is that we have one county assembly, and that is the county assembly of Baringo, that has rejected the referendum bill. 8 are still undergoing a public, or rather going through public participation. 38 have given a nod to the referendum bill. KBC Channel 1 will continue just, keeping you updated on what happens in as far as matters of the referendum bill is concerned, as well as dissecting what it means, what next, and after it gets to the bicameral parliament, then the referendum. All this will be keeping tabs on, as well as what is happening in matters in the business arena, as well as the sports sector. So do keep it right here. Remember, we are live, and you can get further detail on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke.
Fanya hivi, wewe teremuka tu chini. Hata watu wanangojea, unasema unione? Si ninakuona ndio huyu kucha. Kucha ninakuona. Nimekuita mara ngapi, Kate? This is the Nissan Note.
Hii ndio motoka.
Not that this is the Nissan Note we are giving out.
Na ni rahisi sana kuwekelea bid. Unaenda kwenye lipa na M-Pesa. Unaweka paybill number 4032353. Kisha unakelea account number ya Nissan Note, ni Note, N-O-T-E. Namba ambayo unapenda, labda unapenda 100, labda unapenda 200, wekelea Note 100, Note 200, alafu tutakuitisha shilingi 40 peke yake, 40 bob only. Weka pin yako, utakuwa umekelea bid ya hii Nissan Note. Inakungoja wewe mahali popote ulipo. Mimi na mtumishi tutakupea.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Ashok, please save me. Ashok, please save me. Ashok?
Call Vicky!
Lord. Despite being gravely insulted by Ashok, how are you still alive?
Please stop, brother.
This ring belongs to the royal family. Could she be Ashok's mother, whom the Lord is in search of?
on the next episode of
Nataka kwenda kwenu.
Ukiniacha naondoka.
Umesahau wewe nilikokutoa? Hebu nusha.
Hebu rudisha hilo limbo lako huko.
Nzuri. Rangi ya chungwa.
Babu, basi kilichokuvutia kwangu ni nini?
Sina mimba.
Jamani mmeoa mputo wapi?
Alafu ameona redio naye vile alikuwa ameanza kutangazia kijiji kizima.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Nisha hivyo eh? Ni sawa tu endelea.
Picha nini? If you like, take me to High Court, sue me, or take me to court of appeal.
Well, until everything comes back to normal, we just have to make do.
Teacher, that is unacceptable. This is not what we signed up for. This environment is worse than approved school.
You mean you still bruised over that mad incident? Grow up.
What, did you have a mad fight?
I wish I could do that. If you ask any man if he has gossiped before, he will answer with a loud vehement no.
Yes.
But of course we know that is not true. Men gossip.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Good morning. In case you are just joining us, karibu sana to the program. My name is Jade Mboy. Glad you are with us this morning. I would absolutely love to know where you're watching us from, so feel free to use the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter to check in, let us know the location, and also the Tuma Salam will say something nice, let us know how you're enjoying the program. Use the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter, and remember to also tag at KBC Channel 1, at Dorina Range, at Ray Manyara, and at Jade Mboy, so that we can be able to see your feed. Thus far, I appreciate the love. Now, Rodri, there's official Levy Classic, Kinerathuk, and Jackie Sumu have already tuned in. Kiplagat Kitur anasema Ruaraka, Nairobi, Kenya locked sana. Nimekwama kwa hiyo shocking story of what is happening in Lamu, man, what they are demanding from their wives. Kwani wasipopewa watakufa? Anyway, only God knows. I completely share with you the shock that you are feeling right now. I mean, it's cray, man. Mtua Googles, thank you so much for tuning in. Jerry Hans, Adia Mifolo, Shukran. Joey Greco, I don't know if it's Greco or Gresho. I don't know. Correct. Thank you for tuning in. I also see Prudence Wanza. Thank you so much for checking in. Keep talking to us. Let us know where you're watching us from, and just how you are enjoying the show. And you can also share with us your thoughts in regards to some of these topics that we get to discuss here. Again, the official hashtag to use is Good Morning Kenya, and at Jane Mamboy, as well as KBC Channel 1. So we want to get into our first lifestyle conversation for today, and we have a guest who is joining us from all the way in South Africa. He is very big in the creative industry, the entertainment industry down in South Africa. He is a producer as well as a DJ. 37 MPH. Good morning.
Habari yako. Good morning. How are you?
Hey, who taught you habari yako?
I lived in Kenya for almost a year and a half. While I was the musical director for Coke Studio Africa.
Which other Swahili word do you know?
So I definitely learned some Swahili while I was there.
All right, we'll be teaching you some new words before we get to wind this conversation. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Asante sana. It's so good to be here.
All right, maybe you could start by giving us your social media handles so that our viewers can also get to interact with you on the socials.
No problem. My handle on Twitter is @37mph, Instagram @37mph. Same thing as on Facebook, 37mph.
All right, so we'll be getting feed in not too long. So let's just get straight into it. And first of all, I know so many people get to wonder about your age. Where did that come from?
Okay, firstly, my name's Mpho. My birth name is Mpho.
Yes.
MPHO, which means gift. And then the numbers 37 are very significant in my life. I believe that I'm a spirit person. I have a body and I have a spirit. So I'm spirit, soul, and body 7 days a week. And then MPH is my name. So which is pretty much a name that I use to like hide the identity of me making music behind my parents' back.
All right, interesting. You know, so many people don't always have a strong or impactful meaning behind their names because it's entertainment, but good to know that there is a story behind that. So we just want to understand how your journey has been, but let's go way back to, you know, times growing up. How was life for you as a little kid?
I think life was really good. I grew up in the Eastern Cape, around King Williamstown in Pagamisa. So, you know, things were really calm. I have a close family. I have a brother and I have a sister. So I'm the middle child. We grew up in a musical family. My dad always played music. He had an amazing voice. He could whistle like a bird. My mom always listened to gospel music and African music. So I grew up pretty much around music. And then at the age of 11, I had the urge to want to play piano. From watching the band play at church, I was like, I definitely want to get involved and learn how to play music. And so pretty much that's how the bug bit me in terms of me playing music and starting out.
All right. Hey, being the middle child, you know, we always get to see how middle children have a hard time growing up. Did you have any of those two weird middle child incidents and tendencies growing up?
Listen, I think I still carry some of my middle child tendencies. You know, I remember growing up, like being super fussy. You know, you're in the car and then your brother and your sister are too close. You're like, just give me some space. You know? That type of thing, you know? And also, I think the other tendency of being the middle child, you are overlooked because your older brother is the main achiever, you know, and the little one is obviously the baby of the family. And then where does that leave you as the middle child?
You had for yourself. But before you got to discover, you know, your inclination to music, what was the dream? Did you have those many, you know, career options that kids usually have when they're growing up, or you discovered music was something that was speaking to you at a very young age and you stuck to it through and through?
You know, funny enough, I have photos at home of me before grade school at creche, of me being a doctor. And there was a play that we did. So I pretty much switched between two roles. I was a doctor, then I was some kind of a singer, you know. So those are the aspirations, like being a doctor, like at very young age. But when I started discovering music, I knew definitely that I wanted to pursue something in music, but there was no name for it. We're not exposed to the career options of you are a music producer because I grew up in a very small town. But I think pretty much it was the choices were either music or something very technical like engineering, which is what I ended up doing anyway.
All right. So in terms of the support that you were getting with, you know, you're leaning towards music and the creative space, how was it with your parents? Because we are, at least speaking from my space here, we have parents who are, you know, pro this really technical, fancy, quote unquote, careers that are considered to be mainstream and stable. In terms of the support and the influence that your parents had in regards to you wanting to do music versus these other careers, how was that for you?
Listen, that one is a bit of a touchy subject because I was fully technical. I went in and enrolled at UCT to study engineering, electrical engineering, and then only in my final year I dropped out. You know, because I'd been doing music on the side. So, but literally the family pretty much ostracized me. Like it was like, whatever that I did for the first 3 years of my career did not matter, you know? Yeah. I could have the biggest song on radio, you know, sell many units, and it never landed. It's like, okay, your hobby, you know, you could actually just go and do engineering until one particular release. I did one release with a guy called Malik, which I think that piece of music resonated with South Africa. It was on all of the stations, and particularly a radio station called Mhlobo Wenene, which plays Xhosa music. And that song was on high rotation. My parents never knew that it was me that produced that song until I got home and I did the usual thing of bringing a stack of CDs home just to show them what I'd been working on that year. And then when they realized, they're like, oh, I know this song. When they looked in the cover, they saw that I produced and composed it. And then it changed everything. They're like, okay, cool.
And
what you doing?
How was that moment for you when you finally saw your parents just opening and, quote unquote, accepting this version of who you are in terms of music and it being what speaks to you? What did that feel like, and what does that mean for you?
I think, you know, that when that moment landed, when I kind of got that affirmation from my parents and like, okay, what you're doing is good. It felt amazing. I felt a sense of release that I didn't have to hide anything anymore. I didn't have to, you know, be behind the scenes or downplay my craft or downplay my talent or any of the things that I did privately at home or like in a professional sense. So that kind of gave me a lease, like a lease of life, just to get out there and do more.
Yeah.
So that, because I kind of knew, okay, this is the pocket, and you know, which brings the success, and also just to have your parents backing, knowing that they are feeling comfortable that, you know, your future is secure, kind of gives you ease and relaxation to carry on with what you're doing.
And you know, maybe what would you have to just tell all other parents who have children who are so creative, they express themselves through music, through DJing, through just doing gigs, and we find so many parents who are struggling with this idea of it being such an indefinite career choice. I mean, what if you had the opportunity to speak to all those parents who are watching us this morning, what would you tell them about supporting their kids in this space?
To the parents that are listening, it's very important to nurture the gifts. You know, if someone has a gift, you know, whether it's in the arts or it's in any industry, it's very important to give the support, because that's the first affirmation that anybody needs to have in life. You know, some people are different from others, but it's very important to affirm our children in the career paths that they choose. And also, if you spot those things early enough in life, I would suggest to the parents to send them off to music school, to art school, so that they're around the people that do what they do, so that they can get their career guidance. You know, within every field, there's many subsectors of it, and the more exposure they get into it, and the more that they feel comfortable to navigate that space, you know, because up until the 2000s, the arts industry it's something that's most dark-skinned parents are not exposed to.
Yeah.
You know, therefore, you know, it's not something that's tried and tested. You know, every time someone does music, they either end up in drugs or whatever, or they end up poor. So there is that sense of, will my child be okay? But the more you research the field and expose them to the things that they might be going through, it gives them more of a chance to actually take a leap earlier and succeed.
All right.
And also, I think, you know, do as much research as you can.
Yeah.
The music industry, the entertainment game is very tricky. So you kind of need to know the law. You know, even if you have to like spur your child on to do maybe law on the side, or, you know, business administration as part of their curriculum. Even from a young age, get them to intern with like labels, or you know, get projects like Coke Studio, or, you know, go to several studios. I mean, there's some great studios in Kenya that I've worked with. You know, that kind of exposure sets them up for a bright future.
And just speaking of the entertainment industry, maybe how is it down in South Africa? How would you describe the entertainment industry in your country?
You know, the entertainment industry in South Africa is always booming. You know, we are blessed with so much talent. There's always someone new. There's always new actors. There's always new singers that are coming up in the industry. It's booming. You know, there is more than enough space for everybody. You know, so hence, you know, I believe in the phrase "open up the industry." Let new actors come in. Let new singers come in. Let new producers come in, because it makes the industry grow. It makes it sustainable for the ones coming in, the ones that are wishing to come into the industry. So I would say it's flourishing. It's good. It's highly competitive, but it's booming. You know, it is something that people can do for a living and retire off of music.
I can imagine, you know, just looking at the industry, given there's a space for so much, it also calls for the creatives to invest in themselves in terms of the skills and their competencies and just building on their skills. And in light of COVID-19, it taught us so much when it comes to professionalizing the industry. I don't know, how did COVID just change the dynamics of operation in the entertainment scene from what you saw?
Wow, you know, I can only comment very, you know, on my personal experience.
Sure.
The COVID-19 changed a lot of things for my personal life. In that, you know, for the last 5 years, most of my income and most of my colleagues' income was coming from performing, or no, not really performing, for music directing big shows. You know, so from Coke Studio Africa to The Voice South Africa, The Voice Afrique, you know, Francophone, The Voice Nigeria, being the musical directors for those shows and doing like shows like Mzansi Viewers Choice. So, and those are shows that, you know, take months. Like some projects are 2 months, some are 3 months, a long project. And when COVID, I remember when we did the Mzansi Viewers Choice Awards last year in March.
Yes,
that was the end. We looked at each other, we're like, this is pretty much the end of us doing these kind of shows. We're definitely not going to have any shows like this. So that meant no income for anybody, you know. And I was blessed. I just signed a contract with the production company, which does the show called Isono on BET Africa. So that kind of changed the gameplay for me. I knew, okay, for the next 12 months, I'll be in the studio writing music for the show and composing the themes for the show. So that was pretty much taken care of, but not enough to say I can rest, you know. And then, you know, that kind of forced myself to start doing other things that I hadn't been doing in a long time. For instance, I started a channel on YouTube in which I talk about music production. It's called Kicks and Snares. You know, there are other people in South Africa, which there's been a boom in the YouTube market where, you know, people are focused on content creation and making money off different income streams because, you know, we can't perform. You know, there are other DJs like DJ PH and DJ Shimza in South Africa who created a massive platform where there's a show on a Friday and a Saturday just based on booking DJs. And it's an entertainment show from 7 p.m. all the way till to midnight. People are entertained by the DJs. So it's almost like bringing the club experience into
straight to your
homes.
space.
Pardon me?
Yeah, just, you know, just bring the whole entertainment to you, straight to where you are.
Exactly. So a lot of people have had to survive via those channels. Other people have created all kinds of conversations. There's a young lady, her name is Nina Hasty. She's like literally brought her journey, you know, of dealing with mental health and brought psychologists on to all the social media channels, and we watch the lives of us getting counseling online, and you know, and there's been board games, people play card games online. So, you know, there's, you know, creatives are creatives. That's the nature of what we do, you know. And I think that the tool that we need to survive is just to stay connected to creativity and just take the leap of faith and go forward.
But do you think this whole COVID-19 has just taught us as creatives the importance of just professionalizing the industry and understanding the value of making the most of each platform that you have as a creative?
I'll definitely agree with that statement. I remember speaking to a PR agent in South Africa.
Yeah.
And he said, you are literally the 5th person who has approached me to ask me to do PR. You know, because people are definitely formalizing what they do, because without you formalizing what you do and how you do it and exposing your talent, then pretty much, you know, your options are a bit limited. So I've definitely seen, and I agree that in this day and age, because of COVID restrictions, people are a little bit more serious than before on how they present themselves to the public.
All right. Now let's get to talk a bit about, the projects that you have been part of, and let's go as far back as when you got your first major project. Take us to that space.
Wow. I consider every single one of them important.
Yeah.
But the first one was pretty much a big deal in my life. I was a student at UCT, and I kind of managed to submit some songs to a record label, and they signed 2 songs immediately. And then when that was happening, I met a rapper, a very famous rapper. His dad was the warden of my res at UCT. So, and I produced some tracks all inside my res room. So we produced a song, and within weeks, that song was on radio, high rotation. Now, I don't know if anyone can relate. So you are a student going to upper campus, you in a shuttle with all the other students, and you hear your song.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous,
You were living the life.
And at that moment, you can't even brag. You can't say, yay, that's my song. No one's going to believe you, So that was the first major win for me. And the second one was shortly after I came up to Joburg to work.
Yeah.
My label kind of put me in a tough spot. They phoned me at 11 p.m. They said, we need you to compose something for a TV show about money, The Apprentice, South Africa. It's coming to South Africa. So can you write something you need to present by 8 o'clock in the morning? So from 11 p.m., I was in studio, trying to write melody after melody. Eventually at 2 o'clock, I crack, I fall asleep. 4 o'clock, I'm like, okay, I'm under pressure. I have to submit. And I wrote a melody, pa, pa, pa. So I wrote my first jingle.
Yeah.
And the lady came from the production company, Tammy. I presented the music, and I was briefed by my label manager. He said to me, don't let her leave without the music. So even if she likes it a little bit, make sure you burn a CD. So I managed to burn a CD, and she walked away from that interview with that music.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. And then another big win was being pretty much like the sound architect for a group called Josie.
Yeah.
Which is a South African outfit with Crazy Lud, Ishmael, Bongani Fasi, and Dalez. That was really amazing because we're formulating a new sound. That sound never existed. We needed to create a hip hop sound. This is back in 2005. We needed to create a hip hop sound that we would be able to export. So, and the formula was take something that's South African, like Mpakanga music, traditional music, and put dope beats behind it. And that was a major win. And then another major win was producing ex-convicts. These 2 guys who had just come from prison. I was tasked. They were like, yo, can you produce these 2 guys? And these guys became stars. One of them became an actor on TV. And then another amazing big win was there's a guy called JR Africa. I met him when I was a student, and at the time I was signed to a label. We spent a lot of time writing songs, formulating what the future would look like.
Yeah.
And I went independent straight after that, and then me and him signed a deal. We're like, let's make some music together. And we're both young. We're super young. We made our first song, and we went to promote it. I remember going into a car. We're all broke. We're 100 Rand to our names. And then we played at every single party. When we got back to Joburg, we got that song on radio, literally instant playlist. It was the biggest song in the country. So, I mean, I can list so many really cool things that have happened in my career. So every single one of them is special.
From a very personal point of view, criticizing yourself, how would you say your music and the way you do music has evolved over the years? What has it morphed into?
Wow, that is that is such a tough question. I think I allow personally, I allow my sound to evolve with who I am, and I allow the things that are around me, the music I listen to, the things that I see in my head, the things that I want to do in the future to influence how I create music. For instance, right now, my circle of friends, I have a friend who's an R&B and hip hop DJ. His name is O'Neal Africa. And then I have another friend, Keba, who's I call him international. He's an executive. He's well-traveled, but he loves Afrobeats. So, that fusion of those sounds is pretty much the space that I live in, and the places that I go to usually play that kind of music. So in my journey as a composer and producer, I allow a lot of influences to influence how I create music, be it, vocal music or indie music. I try and allow life to influence the music I make. One of the philosophies is that music, for me, my personal philosophy as a composer is like life is full of moments.
Yeah.
And music is pretty much how I document those moments. They're sad moments, they're happy moments, they're joyful moments, and there's somber moments. And all of those experiences need to be somehow documented into music. We need to document them into something that the rest of the world can, or anyone in the world, even if it's one person that can empathize with that, for me, that's good enough.
Absolutely. And there's someone who's watching us on Twitter just saying, this is Lennox saying that during this pandemic period as an artist, I have learned to really engage my online audience even more, as there weren't many shows and appearances that one would make. And completely agreeing with what you are saying, you just learn to evolve as the space continues to dictate. There's also Joseph who's saying, what's like the buzzword when something is so good in South Africa? Here in Kenya, when the music is so good, you say, ingoma inasababisha. I don't know, in down south, when the music is so good, what's like the buzzword that is happening there? This is Joseph who's asking.
There's so many words, like, pisa, it means that the song is hot. It's too hot.
You don't have like one word that, it's very native, that is like, yo, man, you. Something that you go off?
Yasha inamba. Like, I would say Yasha inamba, like, which means the song is hitting.
Yasha inamba.
Yeah, Yasha inamba. Yeah, Yasha inamba,
All right, we will be getting back. You're teaching some more buzzwords, but we want to take a very quick commercial break right now. Do stay with us, 37. We'll be back in a bit. We are taking a very quick break. We'll be right back with more of this right here on Good Morning Kenya. Stay with us.
Fantastic.
Fanya hivi, weteremuka tu chini. Hata watu wanangojea, unasema unione, si ninakuona ndio huyu kucha. Kucha ninakuona. Nimekuita mara ngapi, Kate? This is the Nissan Note.
Hii ndio motoka.
Not that this is the Nissan Note we are giving out.
Na ni rahisi sana kuwekelea bid. Unaenda kwenye lipa na M-Pesa. Unaweka paybill number 4032353. Kisha unakelea account number ya Nissan Note ni Note, N-O-T-E. Namba ambayo unapenda, labda unapenda 100, labda unapenda 200, wekelea Note 100, Note 200, alafu tutakuitisha shilingi 40 peke yake, 40 bob only. Weka pin yako, utakuwa umekelea bid ya hii Nissan Note. Inakungoja wewe mahali popote ulipo. Mimi na mtumishi tutakupea.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Ashok, please save me. Ashok, please save me. Ashok?
Call Wiki!
Lord.
Despite being gravely insulted by Ashok, how are you still alive?
Please stop, brother.
This ring belongs to the royal family. Could she be Ashok's mother whom the Lord is in search of?
On the next episode of
Nataka kwenda kwenu.
Ukiniacha naondoka.
Umesahau wewe nilikokutoa. Hebu nusha.
Hebu rudisha Kisha hilo limbo lako huko.
Nzuri. Rangi ya chungwa.
Babu, basi kilichokuvutia kwangu ni nini?
Sina mimba.
Jamani mmeoa mputo wapi?
Alafu ameona redio naye vile alikuwa ameanza kutangazia kijiji kizima.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Nisha hivyo eh? Ni sawa tu endelea.
Kisha nini? If you like, take me to high court, sue me, or take me to court of appeal.
Well, until everything comes back to normal, we just have to make do.
Teacher, that is unacceptable. This is not what we signed up for. This environment is worse than approved school.
You mean you still bruised over that mad incident? Grow up.
Well, did you have a mad fight?
I wish I could do that.
If you ask any man if he has gossiped before, he will answer with a loud vehement no.
Yes.
But of course we know that is not true. Men gossip.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Welcome back. Glad you are still with us. This is Good Morning Kenya. I am Jane Momboy. We continue with this conversation that we're having today on our first lifestyle item. And we have with us 37 MBH joining us all the way from South Africa. And we just want to now switch gears and talk about his most recent project. 37 still with us?
Yes, Jane, how are you?
Good. Now, we just want to dive straight into the EP that, is your most recent project. And we just want to understand, what directed you to just put this EP together in the first place?
Wow. Look, I think, COVID-19 and catching COVID, at some point I was COVID positive and I was very ill.
Oh,
but
man.
not to the point of hospitalization. I was at home. And it got me thinking. I was like, listen, I felt, I was so scared. I thought it would be the end.
Yeah.
So I said, Lord, if I make it through this thing, what are the things that I've been wanting to do that I've been too scared to do? So this releasing music and creating my content online were the things that I was like, listen, I can do this for the rest of my life, as long as I put my back into it. So during the time, of hard lockdown, I really engaged with my online community. I met most of the collaborators on the EP online, so we started chatting.
Yeah.
So around late August, September was my birthday month. I set a challenge and I put it out there to my socials. I said, I'm gonna write every single day for the month of September, month of August, and then October, I'm going to start producing. So I started writing songs online on my Instagram live.
Yeah.
And, the community was really great. I spotted a few people that I wanted to work with. There was a young lady, her name is Lele. She runs a great page on Instagram called Lele Hub, in which she curates playlists for Spotify and Apple Music. I noticed that she had a good voice. I phoned her, I was like, hey, she interviewed me on a show. So I asked her, I was like, hey, would you like to come to studio? Let's hang out for a bit. She came, it was like lockdown 4, so we're both wearing masks, and I was like, let's write a song. And then she was very shy, but I'm very persuasive. I'm like, no, let's write a song. And then eventually we had our first song. And then I had another colleague from the show Isono, Mamelo, who was the makeup artist at the time.
Yes.
So I noticed that she was into music also. She asked me lots of questions about, the process of making music, production. I invited her over to the studio. We wrote a song, massive stuff. And then I really got an idea in my head. I was like, okay, what am I going to write about? What is the project about? Okay. So I was like, let me narrow it down to songs that speak about love. And then I was like, what kind of love? So the different perspectives of love, the undying love, the song, the brother, I call him my younger brother, Too Real SA. we wrote like a beautiful song called Ngilosiam, which means my angel. And then I wrote another song with Chad the Don and Too Real, which is about reaffirming your partner's thing that they can trust you, and then I wrote another song about hooking up, Chips Funga.
Hey, you spent too much time in Kenya.
That one was like a song. I was actually being naughty, it was raining outside. And I was like, I actually want to write a song, like an emotional song, but it needs to feel like a duet. So I wrote the lyrics, every time it rains, thoughts of you start running through my head. So I ended up writing a song about every time it rains. It's not like when it's sunny, you just decide to want to call somebody and say, won't you come over, let's show Max some chill. We all know what that means, So, and then I penned the song with a friend of mine, Nancy Maketa, who I've been collaborating with for many years.
All right.
And I feel Too Real, and then on the vocals, on the final version of the song, I featured a young from Namibia. Her name is Kushka. So like all of it, the whole process, I feel like my online community have been holding me up because, half the people that are on the project I met on the internet or via Instagram or via someone in my network saying, would you try this person? And the conversations that we've been having on the internet and just listening to what people have to say and reading the comments and reading the stories like, this guy did this to me, so I decided to write a song.
Okay.
So the whole project has been about like love and just experiencing love. And there's a very special song that I wrote, but this one is pretty old. I wrote it in 2017. I wrote it with Bushington and Lydia Jasmine back in Kenya when I was still the musical director. The song is called Jakutunga, which means I'm gonna mend your heart. And we penned that song, I recorded it, and then only later on, when I was busy on the project, I reached out to Mike Ouma, a guitarist and a multi-instrumentalist in Uganda, and I said, hey man, why don't you put some stuff down? There's this one instrument that I really love. It's called ngidigi. It's like a fiddle. It's an African fiddle. So he ended up putting fiddle. It's like very nice blend of sounds, So I think I really put my heart out there in terms of what I feel people need to hear about love. Love for yourself, love for others, your brother. The last song on the project, I wrote it with a guy called, his name is Zeus from Botswana. It was by a recommendation by a friend. He said, hey, I think it would be dope if you sent this to Zeus. I spoke to Zeus and we penned the song. Version 1 didn't work out. So we went for version 2. I was like, no, we need to write about the love that you have for your wife, and then love for family, love for your friends. And listen, it ended up, it is the first single. It actually drops in 2 days' time. If you do pre-order the album before Friday, you'll be able to get that song as your instant gratification track. You can get it if you pre-add the album or pre-order it. You'll get that song on Friday morning.
All right. Now, my directors are telling me we are almost out of time, but as we get to close this conversation, maybe to everyone who's going to be listening to this piece of work that you have put all your heart and your love into, they may not like all the songs that are on there, but what is it that you want them to feel and understand from this project that you have, just poured your heart into?
I think this album, the album Lerato, is about love and celebrating it from the different perspective. I hope that whoever listens to gets to share this music and just sit in a setting where they play from track 1 to the end of the track to track 10 and enjoy it with their family. And hopefully there'll be that one song or 2 songs that they can share with someone that, if there are words that they were never able to articulate, they can send that song out to them and dedicate it to them and say, this is how I feel about you.
All right.
Thank you. And to others, I hope, whoever listens to the album gets some kind of healing from any past hurts, and they see love as a new thing, because love is beautiful.
Life is beautiful. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. We thoroughly appreciate you for making time to be part of Good Morning Kenya. We wish you all the best. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep giving us good music.
Asante sana.
All right, there you have it. That is 37 mph. He is, an award-winning DJ, producer, as well as just major in the creative industry all the way from South Africa. That brings us to a close of this particular discussion, but we will be back with more of what we have in store for you. But first, we're gonna have a look at what is happening on the roads. Heidi.
Yes, it is that time of the show where we get to look at what's happening on the roads. And as I had mentioned earlier, today our focus is simply along Kipani Road as well as the Globe Roundabout. And also, I have promised you that I'll be telling you why. Just to recap that for you, I had mentioned that we'll be looking at Globe Roundabout as well as Kipani Road. And this is simply because it is one of those slip roads where oftentimes very heavy kind of traffic, but there hasn't been any ongoing roadworks or even any kind of businesses, both, large scale or even small scale along these routes, like how we normally see on other roads that normally lead to heavy kind of traffic flow. But even at that, still there's that kind of heavy traffic, especially at this time of the morning. So we want to check how it is doing, at least as of now, try to see if at all we need to look at some alternative routes for our viewers coming from areas around Westlands or even Muranga Road all the way from Thika Superhighway. And look at that, things have just changed altogether. Simply why I keep saying all the time, traffic changes every single second, and every road you see in this country, the reason for traffic is usually different. On this specific one, this is Kipani Road. It's a slip road. And just again to, remind you, slip roads are roads that branch off from a major road. And on this specific one, there are many to minor roads. And this is why there's oftentimes heavy kind of traffic, because as I was telling you, there's barely any kind of ongoing roadworks, or there hasn't even been none specific on this particular route. But even at that, especially as you leave the areas around Westlands, Parklands, coming all the way to the city center via Kipani Road, oftentimes heavy kind of traffic, and this is being witnessed especially just before you get to the Globe Roundabout. So it is always one of those busy roads, especially in the early morning hour. And this is simply why I was saying, if you're coming from areas around Westlands, areas around Parklands via Ojiji Road, intending to use this route, then that early morning hour was just the best time for you to do that, because also on this specific route there's barely any kind of alternative route. So it only means that if you're using this route and if there's heavy kind of traffic like what you're spotting just before you get to Muranga Road, then clearly you'll have to make do with this traffic. But yes, in as much as this traffic here, it is only specific to that lane that is coming to the CBD. And also the beauty is that it's not throughout the entire stretch. So just slightly before you get to Muranga Road, that is just where traffic begins to build up. But even at that, at least looks like things are opening up just a bit, at least before you again get to that route. On the other section, which is again, as you leave Muranga Road, as you leave the Globe Roundabout, going all through Tukipandi Road via Ojiji Road, heading all the way to Westlands and all those areas in Parklands, on that section, they are green all through, no traffic at all. So for our viewers coming either from around Thika Superhighway or around City Center or even Globe or even which area is this? Muranga Road, if at all you intend to go to areas around Westlands, then this could be one of your good routes to use, which is Kipani Road. Coming to the Globe Roundabout, also it's just, it's really very interesting, because in this time of the morning, I can tell you for sure around this roundabout, which is just in the heart of the city center, oftentimes heavy kind of traffic. But look at how it is looking like, at least as of now, just on some sections here and there where there's a bit of a gridlock, but on major parts throughout the entire roundabout, green all through, meaning again, again, also if at all you're coming from areas around Thika Road, Pangani, Muranga Road, coming all the way to city center, again, smooth sailing for you, barely any kind of heavy traffic, just slight snarl up next to Kahama there as you come to the CBD as well. But at least on major parts of the roundabout, green all through, a smooth sailing. Where there's a bit of a traffic, if I can mention, is actually on that section, still around the roundabout, and this is as you branch off to Kirinyaga Road. Again, one of those slip roads there. But I also, if you can remember, along this route, which is Kirinyaga Road, there has been ongoing roadworks, and this is in regards to rehabilitate this specific route, at least to make it easy for both public and private vehicles. And also part of what is coming along is the NMT on the same route, again, to just make it easy for pedestrians. So not only for vehicles, both public and private, but also for pedestrians. So at least on this route, there has been some ongoing works. We expect them to be complete and at least, the sections to be opened up to the public there. But when it comes to traffic, again, smooth sailing on both sides of that route. So again, this is just as you leave Globe roundabout, coming all the way through Kirinyaga Road on the other side, on the downtown of CBD, and also leaving that area, still coming with the same route as you enjoying to the Globe roundabout. It looks like this morning there's barely any kind of the heavy traffic on most of these roads or roundabouts where we'd expect to see heavy kind of traffic. But again, around the Globe roundabout, part of the reason as to why there's usually heavy kind of traffic is this. Globe roundabout is one of those major roundabouts at the heart of the city center, branches off to major roads as well as slip roads, and it comes all the way from Thika Superhighway via Muranga Road, which is a slip road, coming again through the other slip road, which is as you head over to University Way, and again coming all the way from Kipande Road, which is what you are looking at, branching off to Kijabe Street, again branching off to Kirinyaga Road, coming to the city center via Tomboya Street. So clearly this is one of those major roundabouts, and oftentimes when you see the kind of heavy traffic around this roundabout is simply because of that, branching off to major roads as well as some slip roads. Clearly one of those busy roundabouts, but at least as of now, in terms of traffic, not that bad. And again, looks like things are not changing at all. So it's just green all through on the section which I mentioned to you earlier. And again, also specific as you branch off to Kipande Road. So where there's just really kind of traffic is as you branch off to Kirinyaga Road. But even at that, it's just on some section through that route. So again, if you at all coming to the city center, where you'll just have to make do with the traffic is just next to that flyover there, coming all the way to CBD. But away from that, all through and through, it is just green throughout the entire round, actually half section of the roundabout, green all through. And let's look at Kipande Road again, try to see if things are changing there, but also looks like it's just green all throughout this entire road, which is again Kipande Road, which is what we were looking at also this morning, where traffic is again building up is still on that section and things are not changing. So yes, in as much as there's traffic, at least this morning, it is a manageable kind of traffic. However, moving at a pretty slow pace, but even at that, it's not through the entire road, it's just like a small section there. And this comes all the way from Ojijo Road as well, one of those slip roads there before you get to that major road as you come through the roundabout, still through the same routes. Still traffic there, but a manageable kind of traffic. So again, this is what this orange color always means all the time. Anytime you see the orange, it just simply means that traffic has begun to slightly build up, but even at that, a manageable kind of traffic. We have also been witnessing some ongoing roadworks around Parklands area. So ultimately, this could be the reason as to why we are seeing the kind of traffic that we are spotting, at least as of now. But even at that, a manageable kind of traffic throughout the entire sections along Ojijo just before you get to Kipande Road. So again, as I conclude, for our viewers coming from areas around Parklands, if at all you intend to use Kipande Road, where you will make do with the traffic is just along Ojijo Road. But away from that, past the roundabout, coming to CBD, smooth sailing for you. Just on like a section there where there's a bit of a gridlock, but throughout the entire road, at least it's green all through, meaning there's barely any kind of traffic to deal with on that route. So today we've just been focusing on what has been happening along Kipande Road as well as the Globe roundabout, one of those major slip roads where heavy kind of traffic, away from the fact that yes, there hasn't been any ongoing works, but oftentimes heavy kind of traffic, but at least as of today, doesn't really look that bad along that route.
All right. Thank you, Dee, for that. We will be sure to keep you up to date with what will be happening on our roads.
All right, so we get to move on to the next discussion. And this next lady that we have also joining us via Zoom is one who has been social media, just looking at how she has approached her sense of creativity and humor and just, satire, bringing humor out of everyday things that we take so casually. But, sometimes we take them too seriously, but we never stop to look at the funny or, comical side of things. I'm sure you have gotten to see some of her projects on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram as well. And you can attest to the fact that she has brought to life things that we take so casually, and yet, when you think about it, when you get to the details, it's quite hilarious with how she has put it out on social media. She goes by the handle Mini Cheps on most social media platforms. You can be able to just get onto the socials and get to see her work. But in the meantime, before we get to introduce her, remember we are using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. At KBC Channel 1 is the official station handle. Do remember to tag me as well at Jane Mamboy across all the social media platforms. I'd love to know where you're watching us from. So as you check in, do leave a location. I see Bulenani Philip and Ken Dehero who have just checked in. Let me refresh my feed. There's also Diva who's just checking in. Please leave a location. I'd love to know which part of Kenya you are watching us from. Leeds also tuning in. Thank you so much for all the retweets that you're sending through. Janet, appreciating your time for being with us this morning. Hair by Rose, thank you so much for tuning in. Always appreciating you for making time, as well as Jamal Musaila for tuning in. Thank you all so much. Keep checking in. Again, leave a location. Just want to know where you're watching us from. So right now we just want to now bring in our guest, Mini Cheps. Unafyeka nywele, unakula kakuku na miguu. I absolutely love this angle that you have chosen to approach your creativity. Hi, Catherine.
Hi.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Why don't you start by saying hi to our viewers and reminding our viewers the social media handles?
Okay. Ningependa kusalimia kila mtu. Yeah.
How can guys find you on social media for those who don't know?
Oh, Facebook, Mini Cheps. Instagram, Mini Cheps. Twitter, Mini Cheps.
All right. So check her out. We'll be showing you some of her work in a bit. But let's just get to know you a bit better. This aspect of photography, how far back does it go? Ulianza lini?
Nilianza 2019.
What was happening in that space ndo ukadecide to venture into photography and specifically this type of, editing and all?
Okay, nimekuanga nikipenda picha, alafu so when tulimit na my better half nikamwambia nataka kufungua page alafu nipigange mapicha nikwange nikipost online. Akaniambia, and then akaniambia, yeah, ni idea poa, but what if ukikuwa mdogo kwa hizo mapicha? na hapo ndio Mini Cheps ikaanzia.
Which was the first project and you just, took it, ukazi edit, ukaji minify, ukaweka hapo socials, because there's so much. Gani ndo ilikuwa ya kwanza?
Mara kwanza tukianza hata hatukuwa na kamera. Tunajua ilikuwa inahitaji kamera. So hatukuwa na kamera, ikabidi tuombe, tukaomba alafu tukapewa. Tukapiga mapicha, tukaanza kupost, but kwa tuna expect tukipost ita go viral, kila mtu atazipenda. But after kuzipost hata hakuna mtu mwenye alikuwa anashughulika nazo.
And how did you feel in that space, Manze? It's something that unajiona, unajituma, it's a new idea, but at first watu hawako wanaiappreciate as such compared to now.
Okay, reason ili to keep going ni ile yenye unapost hakuna mtu mwenye anaiappreciate, so alafu but kuna wale mafans wachache wenye walianzanga kitambo. Sasa hao ndio wali going. Sasa tulikuwa ni yenye ukipiga picha ukipost unaipost for fun, si ati to go viral ama nini. Hadi on Valentine's Day they can go viral sasa.
Nice. And what type of skills did you have to learn to just get to where you are today, to just make sure that your editing is so on point?
Okay, sijai sema nazi edit, so yeah, but ni okay, mtu unahitaji tu kamera, kuna mwenye ananipiganga picha, my better half. Yeah.
So he takes pictures of you from different angles, then mnazishikanisha too?
Yeah, alafu tunazipost.
What has been the hardest part of e-journey that you have been on in terms of consistency, getting all that you need to just put everything together? What's been the hardest part of it all?
Sometimes ni tuseme come up na idea fulani alafu una realize hauna vitu zenye unahitaji, like kama ya kitabu ilibidi twende tununue kitabu, kalamu, juu hizo ni vitu tunaweza afford. But saa zingine mtu maybe una idea kali, lakini imagine vitu unahitaji kubuy hauna hizo vitu. Alafu saa zingine ni weather. Kamera niko nayo si si clear, alafu sina light, so mimi utegemea jua, so weather kiasi asiwezi fanya anything.
Now, in terms of protecting your work, you know, we are living in a time where there's so much fraud going on. Guys can easily steal your work. Is it something you may have to deal now in terms of protecting the kind of content that you put out there?
Okay, for now, hata nimeona kuna pages mingi zimefunguliwa, Facebook, Twitter, hadi YouTube. Sijafungua YouTube, but naona YouTube, kuna TikTok. I think ni kukua tu careful, mtu tu asi hack maybe account yako, but kuna vitu zingine huwezi kuzistopisha na kufanya mafans wako wajue account yako real ni gani.
The legit one, yeah.
Yeah.
And in terms of support, and especially from those that are closest to you, how has that been? How did wali receive hii angle umechukua? How are they when uliwaambia hivi sasa ni mapicha zangu, this is what I want to do?
Family members wamekuanga supportive sana ever since from day one. Alafu kuna friends wenye at first hawako wanaelewa mini-chat ni nini, reason yake. Juu mara ya kwanza nilikuwa nikipost, nikiwaambia mnaweza share. Kuna wenye walikuwa wananiambia I wish ingekuwa ni picha yangu ndio ningeweza share, but ni picha yako sio, ni mbona ni share. But saizi wana understand na wana support kabisa.
Hey man, I'm telling you, support system inakuanga muhimu as you go along this journey. But stay with us. We want to take a very quick break. We'll be right back to continue with this discussion. Keep talking to us using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya. See you after this break.
Fanya hivi, wewe teremuka tu chini. Hata watu wanangojea, unasema unione, si ninakuona ndio huyu kucha. Kucha ninakuona. Nimekuita mara ngapi Kate? This is the Nissan Note.
Hii ndio motoka.
Not that this is the Nissan Note we are giving out.
Na ni rahisi sana kuwekelea bid. Unaenda kwenye lipa na M-Pesa. Unaweka paybill number 4032353. Kisha unakelea account number ya Nissan Note ni Note, N-O-T-E. Namba ambayo unapenda, labda unapenda 100, labda unapenda 200. Wekelea Note 100, Note 200. Alafu tutakuitisha shilingi 40 peke yake, 40 bob only. Weka pin yako, utakuwa umekelea bid ya hii Nissan Note. Inakungoja wewe mahali popote ulipo. Mimi na mtumishi tutakupea.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Ashok, please save me. Ashok, please save me. Ashok?
Call Wiki!
Lord.
Despite being gravely insulted by Ashok, how are you still alive?
Please stop, brother.
This ring belongs to the royal family. Could she be Ashok's mother whom the Lord is in search of?
On the next episode.
Kutoka Pwani.
Kuleta Huduma Center ilikuwa kitu kizuri kwa sababu unapata huduma zote under one roof.
Hadi katika milima ya kuvutia ya Taita Taveta.
Niko hapa Huduma Center hapa saa hii, nimeonyeshwa kila kitu na nimeshukuru. Siwezi kutafuta tiketi ya kwenda mpaka huko.
Na kuelekea hadi maeneo tambarare ya Maasai.
Mara nyingine nilikuwa naamka mapema niende kupanga laini, lakini hapa nimekuja ile masaa nimechukua almost 10 minutes.
It's a game changer. Imeleta serikali na mwananchi pamoja.
On the next episode of
Nataka kwenda kwenu.
Ukiniacha naondoka.
Umesahau wewe nilikokutoa? Hebu nusa.
Hebu rudisha ile limbo lako huko.
Nzuri. Rangi ya chungwa.
Babu, basi kilichokuvutia kwangu ni nini?
Sina mimba.
Jamani, mmeoa mputo wapi?
Alafu ameona redio naye vile alikuwa ameanza kutangazia kijiji kizima.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us this far. I appreciate your feedback so far. Selector Arafat pale Twitter anasema, I absolutely love her work. That is at Mini Chaps. That is how you can find her on Twitter. Remember, that is her handle, because there's so many people who are going around pretending to be her, using her work and taking credit for all that she does. But her handle is at Mini Chaps. Small letters across all the socials, so you can check her out and verify that that is her work. She is a visual artist, straight out of Kenya. I'm just looking at her Twitter profile, and Jiita, visual artist, straight out of Kenya, capturing Kenyan culture in a punny way. Having a bad day? Let me cheer you up. I absolutely love that particular description there. We are joined by Catherine Jepkemoy, better known as Mini Chaps. Hi, Catherine. Thank you for staying with us.
Yeah.
Now, just getting back to where we were, is this something that you have decided to turn into a business, or you are still testing the waters in terms of how people are perceiving it and taking it as you keep posting the pictures?
Okay, first nafanya main reason ya kufanya Mini Chaps ni kufurahisha watu, make watu wa smile. Kama mtu ako na siku yake imeharibika, anaona mapicha za Mini Chaps, a smile. Yeah, at the same time pia naweza taka kufanya adverts ya kwa brand ambassador. Yeah.
To get partnerships as you continue on. Now, umepata specific people when they want you to do some of these projects for them, like they want you to bring an idea for them, or so far it has just been all your ideas that you put out there?
Okay, yeah, so far watu wameanza ku reach out, ndio tunaendelea ku discuss. Yeah.
You're still getting the proposals from different people?
Yeah, so companies wameanza ku reach out.
Ah, nice. That's good for you. So maybe what's the future looking like? Kuna mipango gani in terms of where you want Mini Chaps photography to go to? What's the plan?
Mini Chaps ita grow as soon as nitapata, kuna equipment zenye nahitaji but sijapata, but as soon as nazipata Mini Chaps ita grow, na kuna vitu mob sana kwa store.
All right. So maybe kuna mtu mahali kuna mtu morning who's watching us on Good Morning Kenya right now, they'd want to support you. What forms of support do you feel are necessary for you to help grow you as an individual and these projects that you have taken up?
Okay, kwanza naweza taka kama sisi naweza taka watu tu wanifollow on Instagram, Twitter na Facebook. Alafu naweza taka kamera natumia ni low quality sana, so naweza taka kamera mzuri na lights.
Camera and lights. Okay, so maybe if you're watching us this morning and you want to be part of, just helping this amazing young girl keep growing in this venture that she has chosen to take, you might as well just assist, see, kufollow too. You can go the extra mile. Now, as we bring the conversation to a close, maybe just your message to all who are watching us this morning. What do you want them to take home when they get to interact with your work, your pictures, wakiziona watu wanatumiana kwa WhatsApp? Ni nini nataka they appreciate and take home at the end of the day?
Okay, so mimi ningependa kuambia watu sikuwahi kwenda high school, so mimi hujaribu kufanya wale watu wenye hawakufika mahali penye walikuwa wanataka kufika kama mimi, wasi lose hope kwa life. Time yake tu itafika na mtu usi give up. Kuwa tu na faith na kufanya unatumia chenye uko nayo kujaribu kufanya tu dreams zako zikam through na zitakama.
And for those who are passionate about photography, but they are stuck, just like there's some things that you need, but you don't have access to them. But that did not stop you from kuanza hii journey. When you are in the same position and they feel they are stuck, na hawaja take that step to just trying it out, and they love photography.
Wasi give up, wangangane kabisa juu ina take time. Mtu wezi amka asubuhi uanze kitu na kila mtu apende. Lazima ungangane, usi give up, ngangana tu. Moja tu itafika mahali.
All right, ngangana kabisa utafika that day.
Yeah.
All right, tukumbushe your social media handles once more, the legit ones, ndio watu wajue who is Minichep, the actual Twitter, Facebook and Instagram accounts.
Facebook Minicheps. Minicheps ni jina moja imeshikana. Minicheps Facebook, Twitter Minicheps, Instagram Minicheps. Yote ni jina moja tu.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. We wish you the very best. Keep doing what you're doing. We absolutely love your photos. They light up our days. Mi kwanza hiyo yenye ulikuwa unasonga nywele ukiwa umekanyaga kichwa. That is a classical representation of what happens when you're getting your hair braided in the Kenyan space. Thank you so much for just putting a smile on everyone's faces, and especially during hii time yenye tumekuwa nayo ya COVID-19. There's so much stress going around, but thank you for being the light in so many people's lives.
Yeah.
All right. So that is Catherine Jeb Kemoy. She is a visual artist, a photographer, and just a creative trying to just change how we perceive and appreciate art in this day and time, using satire to just put a smile on everyone's faces at the end of the day. So that is that in regards to that conversation. Check her out, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Do support her. Minicheps is how you can find her. One word, Minicheps. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. So that is that. We want to now move on to the next bits of what we have lined up for you. But first, we check in with Doreen.
Yeah, just before we get to look at the roads, you see, when you talk about those pictures, and I'm reminded a lot about the power of social media, because it's through the social media platforms, especially Twitter, people just liking and retweeting, baka inafikia wala watu inafaa ifikia. At least you get to have these conversations, with such kind of people in the arts and creatives. And I feel like as Kenyans, in as much as there's a lot of things that can bring us, especially on KOT, yeah, we support ourselves. We support each other. Man. As in, her pictures are so hilarious. I was going through that and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is the reality on ground. Miyo ya kusonga nywele. Kwanza, there's this last one. I think it was yesterday she posted ya kangombe na anakamua maziwa. And then she was asking, can someone give me a caption? And I wouldn't want to say what Kenyans were saying, especially when it comes to milking. Yeah. You know how we get milked? Then there was this one when she was riding the K20 bob, as kids tunaita mufara. Ndo hiyo. Kwa pia wewe ni hiyo generation. Manze.
I grew up with boys.
Yeah.
Nilikuanga hiyo gang with my brothers. Tunanyolewa sisi nywele sisi wote, tunavaa half coat na kinyasa iko na side pockets.
Na mnaenda mkiendelea na maisha.
Tunaenda kuride mufaraha.
But anyway,
good times.
But it looks like she's just describing our kind of society, community,
yes.
What describes us as Kenyans.
And that's the beauty in it all, man.
Exactly. All right, it's time for us to look at the roads before we get to our last conversation this morning. So let's just quickly look at what is happening on those roads in which we are focusing on, try to see if at all things have changed, but also we'll just try to take a bit of a sneak peek on what is happening along Uhuru Highway, because right now I'm seeing heavy kind of traffic on this major highway. But I told you earlier at slip roads, which is what we're looking at today, Kipani Road, as well as what's just happening along the Globe roundabout, is that these are roads that branch off from a major highway. Case in point, this specific one. Look at the traffic flow, at least as of now, just before you get to Uhuru Highway via Kipani Road, on that tiny section there. That is just where there's heavy traffic at a parking lot, at a standstill, not moving at all. And this is why you are seeing that maroon color. So again, for our viewers to understand the difference in colors, because you might not right now just see on your screens a different cocktail of colors. So this is what it means. When you see the orange color, in fact, on any road, it just simply means that traffic has begun to slightly build up, but all the same, a manageable kind of traffic. When you see that maroon color, it means it is heavy kind of traffic, not moving at all, a parking lot at a standstill. And the red color is an indicator that there's still heavy traffic, but moving at a very, very slow pace. And that is the situation around the roundabout as you leave Ojiji Road, trying to branch off to Kipande Road on that small roundabout there. This is also specific to that lane that is coming all the way from Westlands through Parklands via Ojiji Road, coming through Kipani Road as you get to branch off to Muranga Road, and also to the Globe roundabout on the other side of City Center. On that section as well, through the roundabout as you get to the other side of Uhuru Highway, still on that section, heavy kind of traffic at a standstill, not moving at all. So this is simply why now you get to understand why I was saying for our viewers, especially coming from the areas around Westlands, Kikuyu, Kino, Kangemi, coming all the way to the CBD via Kipande Road, then that early morning hour is clearly the best time for you to do that. And also, if at all you're coming from areas around Parklands through Ojiji Road, again via Kipande, if at all you intend to come to CBD, still that was the best time for you to do that, because in as much as we may want to look at some alternative routes, remember that these are just slip roads, so clearly they're not, the stretch kind of road. So it just means that there's no any kind of alternative route, especially on this, stretches here. But again, on this road, this is Ojiji Road, around Parklands area, there has also been some ongoing roadworks, and this is especially to the expansion of this specific route. So this is why I keep telling you all the time that different roads here in the country, the reason as to why there's traffic on different roads is actually because of different reasons. On this specific one, which is Ojiji, you might just see the heavy kind of gridlock there, and that's why you're seeing that red color as you come through Kipani Road, as you head over to the city center. This is because there has been some ongoing works on this route in regards to expand the road, at least to make it easy for pedestrians, for those using, vehicles, both public and private as well. And clearly you can see just from our map where there's heavy gridlock is on that section as you leave Parklands coming to the CBD, which is again what you'd expect to see, because on most roads in the early morning hour, on those lanes that are leaving the estates, coming to the city center, unless otherwise, this is basically what you'd expect to see. So basically what you're seeing is exactly what you might expect to see. And looks like things are not changing at all. So red on both sections. This means as you leave Kipande, Muranga, Globe roundabouts, coming all the way via that Katari roundabout there, as you head over to Parklands via Ojiji, and also leaving the areas around Parklands, still coming through Ojiji as you head over to Kipande Road there on that section. The heavy kind of traffic moving at a very, very slow pace. However, when you still come to Kipande, at least things are opening up a bit. So again, if you're coming from Westlands, at least it's a smooth sailing for you. As of now, it has just opened right this very second. Again, why I keep saying that traffic changes every single second. And around the Globe roundabout, also things are getting thick there. Again, just as I finish up, if you're coming from Thika Superhighway via Muranga Road through the Globe roundabout, you'll have to make do with this traffic on this entire section. So that has been our focus this Wednesday, just simply what has been happening along Kipande as well as the Globe roundabout. But we're not yet done with Good Morning Kenya. There's still more of the show. Stay tuned. I promised, you're not yet done with Good Morning Kenya. Now, when you hear of philanthropy, oftentimes we at least know there's people that would come out and help people, sometimes maybe because of a reason, sometimes because of what they've been through in life. But have you heard of someone just traveling to different parts, especially in the African continent, not having a family, a relative in these countries, but still coming to help? That is our guest this morning, Diana Juma, a registered nurse, an entrepreneur, and altogether a philanthropist. I have mentioned so many things around your name. Yeah. And I'd want to know how philanthropy began for you as a person, given the fact that you are a nurse by profession, you are into business, but now you're doing something in terms of giving back.
Okay, so it happened with my mother. So she went through so much from her childhood through her death. So that kind of inspired me to help the less fortunate. So regarding helping, the orphanage, children's orphanage is dear to my heart. And I help any way that I can. Sometimes I just walk to a hospital. Like I will look for the lowest, or let's just say government-based hospital. I just go in and probably look for a doctor and ask, is there anyone here who cannot pay their hospital bill? And if he says yes, I go in and just pay off anybody's hospital bill. And then
I love what you're saying, Diana, that you even walk to hospitals because you're a nurse, and you would just try to spot or even ask. And you've also attributed you coming to philanthropy to what you went through as a child in regards to just seeing how your mom suffered. So clearly there's a lot of reasons in just as it pertains to why you chose to do this. But also as it comes to your profession as a nurse, what else have you spotted, or what else do you keep seeing, you know, in this hospital rooms, in hospital beds that make you feel, I really want to give to these people that cannot afford by themselves?
Okay, so regarding the hospital, it's more like a holistic aspect of life. Me seeing all sort of illnesses, and I'm like, how do I help the outside world? So, like I said, the children's orphanage is dear to my heart, and I try to go in and help any way that I can in different countries. For example, I'm here and I've visited about 5 different children's orphanages, trying to help them, support any way that I can. So that is something that is, I'm passionate about what I do. It's not just that, I try to help like students, anybody who want to start a small business, somebody who probably want to go to university but cannot get the initial, tuition, school tuition. I try to support that as well. So many other forms, but in overall, just helping.
In overall, just helping.
Yeah.
And we'll come to the orphanage part in just a short while. But I still want to stick back to the, hospital, given the fact that this is sort of like your line of work just before you dissected to philanthropy. And I'm interested in wanting to know, which areas do you target mostly? Is it where you come from in the US, or your background home country in Ghana, or here in Kenya? Okay, so regarding helping, it will be mainly in Africa. Mainly in Africa, because I feel like Africans, we need more help than in America or the UK. So whenever I travel down to Africa, I just, any way that I can, I just make a list. Okay, I'm going to hospital, I'm going to orphanages, maybe 3 or 4. I'll help students, I'll do this. I combine all together, and then I just go ahead and do it. So for you, it's mostly people in the African continent.
Yes,
the African
I have to help, yeah.
But they say, problems cut across.
I know, but you compare and contrast. Africans, we need more help. We need more help.
Africans, we need more help.
Yeah.
Let's come to the orphanage. this is where your heart is at most. But again, we understand there's especially as you talk about Africa, there's so much that we can do. First of all, you look at the poverty levels in the African continent, even specifically in Kenya where you've decided to come. You look at the issue of malnutrition. You look at the issue of, you know, not going to school, even most especially for girls and even right now for boys. But you specifically choose to just go to orphanages. Why is this so dear to you?
The orphanages, I feel like they need more help. I mean, some people got parents, some don't. Some went through abuse to get through the orphanage. Some have deceased parents, so they went to the orphanages. Some, it's just, the stories keep changing everywhere I go to, and they all come, basically, they all have one aim, you know, but the main thing is, who is going to help them, you know? So the bit that I can do, I just go in and then assist. And also, I try to put it out there for anybody that can support as well to make it a better place,
Speaking of the problems, the way you are saying, and at least now you have 5 orphanages, which is, you know, a good number. What are some of the problems that you've spotted there that maybe if probably looked into better, at least these children can have a good life or a better life?
So there's one orphanage really I'm passionate about. It's called Dream Children's Home. It's in Ngon. So I went there, and what I'm just pleading with the public, if because the children, they need 93 mattresses, and I'm pleading, if anybody can reach out and help Dream Children's Orphanage, is in Ngon, if they can provide mattresses for these children, that would be awesome. That would be awesome, because I'm helping, but I can't do it all. I can't do it all, you know. So if the public can help, that would be awesome.
All right. Now, still going to these orphanages, aside from just the issue you've mentioned, and I'm so sure the public is watching, and in one way or the other they will chip in, and you're telling us how they can be able to get in contact, at least to be able to help these children. But which other prevailing issues do you notice there? Because a case in point, and you know, this is something that probably I've heard even from people out here, especially for those who go to such places, they will tell you that for some of these children, when they're kept in these places, it's just because the way you mentioned, some don't even have a home. So this is their home. The people that assist them there, they are their mothers and fathers. Those children there are like their siblings. But some will leave and still go back to the streets. So which other prevailing issues have you come across? Okay, so there's one specific one that when I went there, it's the same thing you're saying, but what they are doing right now is to allow outside children to come in. So when they come in, they kind of mix with the children in the orphanages. When you say outside children, it means like... That means like the public can come in. And they even set out the school that the public can also attend, so that the children, the orphanages don't feel like they are just... It's just them and they are orphans, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, true. So then when other children come in, the public comes in, they feel like, oh, they mingle with the kids, and then they get really excited and they are happy. They feel like, yeah, they belong to the outside world as well. So they feel as part of the society. Exactly. All right, we'll come in a bit to just continue unpacking more of what you're doing as a person and the initiatives you are doing. But for now, we want to take a very short break. We'll be coming back with Diana, so stay tuned.
Malaria ni ugonjwa hatari sana unaoua watu wengi hapa Kenya. Japo kuko na corona, hatari ya malaria bado iko. Mtoto huyu alikuwa na joto jingi, kutetemeka, kuumwa na viungo na uchovu. Alikimbizwa hospitali ya umma ambako sheria za COVID-19 huzingatiwa na ni salama kwa shughuli ya upimaji. Vipimo vilionyesha kuwa ana malaria na papo hapo daktari akampa dawa za malaria na kumshauri azimalize, na ili kujikinga wawe wakilala ndani ya neti iliyotibiwa. Malaria husambazwa na mbu. Walio hatarini ni watoto wa chini ya miaka 5 na akina mama wajawazito. Kupimwa na kutibiwa ni bure katika hospitali zote za umma. Usisahau adui malaria. Zero malaria huanza na mimi. Chukua jukumu leo. Komesha malaria. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na Wizara ya Afya.
Ili kupata skiza tune ya usitupe ndoto yako, bonyeza alama ya nyota 811 alama ya nyota 963 alama ya reli.
Umekuwa mwaka ambao umekuwa na magumu, wengine wakasema ya kwamba umekuwa ni mwaka ambao tumepoteza, na ninajua kwamba mwaka ukianza ulikuwa na maazimio yako, na mwaka ulipoharibika ukashangaa na ukajiuliza yale malengo utapeleka wapi, zile ndoto utapeleka wapi. Niko hapa nikutie nguvu, nikwambie hivi: usitupe ndoto yako, usitupe maono yako, usitupe lengo lako, bado itatimia.
Ukitaka kupata skizaton hii, bonyeza alama ya nyota 811 alama ya nyota 963 alama ya reli. Alama ya nyota 811 alama ya nyota 963 alama ya reli.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Nisha hivyo ni sawa tu, endelea.
Teacher nini? If you like, take me to high court, sue me, or take me to court of appeal.
Well, until everything comes back to normal, we just have to make do.
Teacher, that is unacceptable. This is not what we signed up for. This environment is worse than approved school.
You mean you still bruised over that mad incident? Grow up.
Well, did you have a mad fight?
I wish I could do that.
If you ask any man if he has gossiped before, he will answer with a loud vehement no.
Yes.
But of course we know that is not true. Men gossip.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Mimi napenda kugombana na Yusuf. Yeye ndo anapenda kugombana na mimi. Sababu mimi sina kitu chochote kibaya na yeye, nia yangu safi na yeye, lakini yeye ndo kunifuatilia.
Nikuulize, huko kwa mamako aenda, bagi lako liko wapi?
Bagi la nini?
Sasa mpaka sasa hizo ufikiria nini?
Mimi nafikiria wewe anaje nyumbani kuja nitulize kichwa. Hata kama ni kudogo tunajibana bana, lakini
Welcome back to the program. Philanthropy is our center of discussion on this Lifestyle Wednesday, and I'm still joined by Diana Juma. Before we went on break, we still were talking about your inspiration, your influence, and at least you had told us what is your greatest inspiration, part of what you went through as a child, part of the sufferings that you saw your mom went through, especially being the African culture and the African context, and there's so many things that happens in regards to that. But now, aside from that, how do you make decisions about philanthropy in regards to which areas you might visit, you know, coming up with a plan, a work plan and strategy for all of that?
Okay, so for that, for me, it's a systematic order. I just want to start with, well, I started with West Africa, and then I gradually...
West Africa, which country in specific?
Well, Ghana.
Oh, where are you actually roots
exactly.
from?
And then, so Kenya is, I want to start with, I want to continue with East. So I'm going to try and do, I always look for not the privileged, but the underprivileged to help. So Kenya, and then I'll move on to other countries in the East, and then move on
to different other places.
So
yes, you began from the West, and you mentioned Ghana. Now you're moving to the East. There's so many countries in the East, and as much as it's progressive and you'd move to other places, but why did you choose to start with Kenya? What was so interesting or specific to this country?
Well, I like to read a lot about different countries, culture, and you know what is going on, and I I just fell in love with Kenya. I just love it. I'm like, no, I have to be here to be able to see and assist.
To be able to see and assess.
Yeah.
So aside from orphanages, you know, because like we mentioned, this is your focus, this is where your heart is. You also had mentioned bits of other things that you do in terms of giving back, because for you as a person, it's all about giving. This is what makes your heart full. So aside from orphanages and the 5 that we mentioned, what other areas are you focused on and why?
Okay, so I focus on like students that need help. For example, maybe financial help. I mean, I was once a secondary school student, and you know, it's not every time that my parents had money to give me to maybe buy some books or, you know, anything that I need personally. So everything that I didn't have, I don't want anybody to go through it. Like I want somebody to, it's like things you didn't have, you want to give to your kids. You know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure that you can contact me on Instagram, and then whatever you need, just ask me and I'll be able to provide. So I do help students. I do help people who want to start up a trade, maybe want to sell something. And I help with, I've paid for someone to learn how to do barbering, hairdressing, seamstress, you know, like sewing stuff. And like I said, I always also go to a hospital, which is in Africa. Whenever I visit, I go to a hospital.
It has to be in Africa.
Yeah, it has to be, because so I look for the hospital that is a little bit, like you can tell that the people need help. So I go there and I ask, is there anybody, I ask the doctor, is there anybody that, you know, their hospital bill is outstanding? And then I try and pay for it.
Just like that.
Just like that, yeah.
You mentioned earlier, actually just right now, that someone can send you a DM, and if they're going through stuff, either it's in payment of fees or they want to do a business, and you'll just be there to help them. But we know there's some people who are fraudsters. You know, how do you filter?
Okay, so with this, initially when I started this, I would be like, as I'm here and the person contact me, then I'm like, I'm present. So then I would be able to detect. But when I go and it happens, I would, obviously there are ways to know if this is a fraudster or not.
How?
You know, I would do a little bit of investigation before I give it out, before I give out financial. Yeah,
that's just.
I'm not just gonna. Oh no, because I know there are fraudsters out there. Yeah,
that's good to clarify, because you know people will be watching and they'll be wondering. Okay, the guest just said that I can DM them.
Yeah, exactly.
And then boom, I'll have cash to begin my business that I've been wanting to do. And you know, you can never tell. You know, this life. Some people are just out here because of malice.
But I need the people that are really poor and need the help, not somebody who's already, you know, rich.
Okay.
So I need the poorest, because that's where my heart is.
You said that when you began. So how long is this? And
I've
how can you track the progress thus far? In as much as you're going to different places and you are even here in Kenya to do the same kind of thing, but how can you track?
Well, I began, I would say, like when I was like 21. So I'm not going to mention my age, but yeah.
I was about to ask you, so how long is it?
Yeah, but usually I kind of have people, like every country I have that I visit, I would have some friends, you know, like I went there and I met them, or, you know, somebody to just keep an eye on whoever I'm helping. Or, you know, just so that I can get feedback whether this person is real, or is he saying what he's doing, is he doing it or he's not, or, you know, so it's not a big deal, but I just, if somebody is starting a business or somebody is learning, for example, I've paid for somebody to go and learn how to braid hair, I would get, for example, the manager I would get in contact with the manager to make sure the person is coming regularly. Is the person serious or is the person not serious?
To also see what you're investing
exactly.
in.
I want to make sure that everything is on point. So I do get contact people,
yeah. Which is actually what I was about to ask you, but you just talked about the manager, and I'm inclined to think that it's not every person or every area you go to help. You know, someone might have a manager. So how else do you get this contact people that you can say you can trust? Because then they need to be someone that you can trust to track the progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so far I haven't had any problems or issues. Well, the only thing was I think one person says he wanted to do a small trade. I supported, but I guess probably she didn't care, so it didn't go so well. But at least I helped. If you wanna, you know, mess around, that's your own problem. But I helped.
But you helped.
At the end of the day, the thing is between me and my God. See somebody suffering. Dear Lord, I've helped the person. It's up to you, the person, to, you know, help yourself.
Yeah. Because there's just so much you can do to help
I can't do that much, but at least I've helped.
Yeah.
So the rest is between you, me, and God. Yes.
And you see, that's why it's important. It was important for me to just understand how you get to track, because the way you are mentioning, there's such of these cases, like the negative cases, which sometimes you do not have control over.
Yeah.
But as someone who this is dear to your heart, philanthropy, giving out, helping out, do such cases discourage you?
No, it doesn't. Because if it discourages you, then it's like, no, I'm not gonna do it. But usually when it comes to adults, I prefer to help children. That's why I do the orphanages. Because with children, see, their hearts are so pure. But when it comes to adults, you might help an adult, and next time the person sees you, it will shock you that the person might even beat you up for some, you know, reason, any reason.
And people have different issues that they're dealing with.
So I prefer to help children. But in any way, I help all.
You help all.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like this is actually rooted.
Yeah, I have to do it, because at the end of the day, I mean, everybody have a way of worshiping the Lord, but this is my way.
This is
this is my way. Yes.
Lest we get to some religious misunderstanding, let's not delve into that part a bit.
Yeah.
However, let's talk about you impacting the same to your children. Off air, you were telling me that this is part of also what you would want to instill in your children, helping. Yeah. And why I wanted to talk about that is because in our kind of society right now, in our generation, it's like everyone for himself and God for us all. You know, if someone wants to help you, out of their own volition, but it's not like a thing, the way you are really advocating so much for helping. So is it part of what you want to instill to your kids, and maybe why? Okay, so on this trip, I brought my kids so they can learn how to give to children's orphanage. Well, I keep saying children's orphanage because it's what you do most.
You know, yeah, exactly. And it's like they don't have anybody, you know, but the Lord and the people that look after them. So giving to them is like I'm head over heels, you know. I just laugh. So I'm teaching them how to, I said, if you want to do good, just come to Africa. You choose anywhere in Africa, just go support. So I'm glad that I brought them with me, and they are happy. They're happy
learning. So maybe break it down for us. What exactly are you teaching them? So at least also for someone who's watching, they can just understand when someone says I'm a philanthropist, when someone says I'm helping out, this is actually what it means. If I'm to learn how to do this, because you can have all the money and you don't even know what to do with it sometimes. You don't even know how to go about helping out. So when you're saying that you are teaching them or you are making them learn something here and there, what exactly are you making them learn?
I'm making them be a good person. Okay, I'm making them...
So it's like character.
Exactly. So to be a good person, just give. Because, I mean, there's a saying that it's better to give than to receive.
Yeah.
Also, giving, you know, it kind of... You might think that you're just giving, but the Lord blesses you in a different way. And I want my kids to just follow my footsteps and do as basically the Lord brought us on this earth to do, to help the poor, help just go to, you know, things in the Bible. I just follow the structure in the Bible, just visit people in prison, people in hospitals, just what the Lord says.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to teach my children the good way, to be good citizens. Yeah.
And to live accordingly.
Exactly.
All right, so these 5 orphanages that you've kept talking about, do you own them, or you just go searching out for them and there are 5 in number?
Oh, I started searching when I was in the US. So I just searched and checked. Yeah, and then I just came and then started visiting.
Visiting them. So the 5 is actually the 5 that you are visiting, helping out.
Yes.
So then do you plan to have your own, because you are so passionate about these kids and orphanages?
Yeah. I wish to have my own though, but it would be a big project. That means I need people to, take care of the kids and all that. That means it would be a big project. I need a land, I need everything to start, begin. It's
a big project.
Yeah.
But it's
I
part
have to
of
think
your
about
dream.
it. Yeah.
But it's part of what you're dreaming to.
Exactly. It's part of,
Okay. All right. Now you talked about if you are to start one, you will need this, need that, need everything. And it encompasses a whole lot.
Yeah.
To an extent, I just want to find out, in as much as you go about visiting different orphanages, and you've talked to us about some of them, especially in Kenya, that you visited and the kind of issues you found therein, do you have a team? Because you just can't do this by yourself.
I know. I know, but I'm somebody that I can combine many jobs together and do it, and by myself.
Okay.
No, for real. Because
you're those super women.
Yeah, I am super. Yeah. I combine many, and then I'm doing it by myself. And so like I said, I came with my kids, and they helping, throughout this journey. Yeah.
So your kids are your help. They're like your team. All right.
Here in Kenya, yes.
But then why haven't you thought of even having your own organization, in as much as, yes, it's just visiting, but one would imagine this is such a big, this is a huge task.
Yeah.
I mean, going to different countries, helping out, giving, especially to children and orphanages.
I have opened an organization on Instagram that if anybody want to assist, because I can't do the whole thing on my own. I would like to help worldwide. But I can't do it on my own. So if I can get some support, I have an organization on my Instagram where
all right. So then how
can email me.
Yeah. Now is that time where you can just tell us how they can be able to find this, platform, so that they can, those that can help and chip into this project of viewers, then can be able to find them easy. Okay.
I have an Instagram, Diane Juma, is in DIANE, and Juma, JUMAH. On that platform, there is, on the contact is my email. They can email me to help with any funds. Also, I have, on that same platform, I have the organization, which is Amapukwa Foundation. It's a link. I have 2 links, actually. One is my YouTube, and one is the foundation.
One is the YouTube and one is the foundation. Finally, as we come to, as you draw the conversation to a close, rather, what does the future look like for you as it pertains to philanthropy and giving?
I'll continue. I'm going to continue to help, regardless of what happens. I'm going to continue to help every country that I could in Africa. I'm going to continue to help. But can I say that I'm also giving out free jewelry. It's on my Instagram account. So if you visit my Instagram account, I'm giving out free jewelry. Just tell me why you think you should win,
or get the
jewelry. Exactly. And then I just ship it to you. So
that's really heart of giving. Completely. Thank you so much, Diana, for your time.
Thank you.
All right, that is Diana Juma, registered nurse and entrepreneur and a philanthropist, talking to us about her journey, why she chose to venture into philanthropy regardless of being a nurse and an entrepreneur, and her heart of giving, her center of focus being on mostly children, and this is why she loves to visit the orphanages. We want to close the show, but before we get to do that, one boy. Mi nakwambia nikika na wewe sijui, as in I can't. I can't.
Your roots are showing.
And I've shown a lot today. Na nimekunywa maji na shanga, what is happening?
Mi kuna siku Okinyi aliniambia ni juu ya kukula waru moto.
Mimi
from where I come from, tunakulanga waru sana. So
vitu anasemanga
unaanza kuongea unakulanga waru moto aje. Hivyo ndo ina translate. But that was such a beautiful discussion, you know, finding someone who is still willing to help in this space that we are in. It's been really hard for so many people, and for her to still be so sure on this journey and to just give without expecting back, that is so beautiful.
Yeah, especially given we're living in a time when keep saying everyone for themselves and God for us all.
Man.
But we still find people who are like, no, I will still come for you. I will still help you. I will give you that cash to begin your business. I will give you that cash to go back to school. And as if that is not enough, I will sit back and take track to actually see how it's helping you. And if you need more help, I will still come into place.
Imagine that.
Wow.
It's beautiful. And there's someone who's actually texted me a message and Lisa, hey, jewelry. What is the protocol?
She has just said, DM'd, na hamepeana all her handles.
Doreen, breathe in, breathe out. Go for it.
Oh my goodness, Ella was saying all her handles.
It is well.
She has given out all her handles, Diane Juma on Instagram. So if you want the jewelry, send a DM. And Diana has said, umwambie why you think you are best deserving to get it.
Absolutely. So just check her out on the socials and you will be able to be advised on how you can go about that. But helping other people and expecting nothing in return is something that is very rare with many people. And if you are among that lot, man, keep doing what you're doing. We celebrate you every day here. All right? Now, so that is that in regards to that discussion. Guys, also appreciating the conversation. Let me refresh my feed here. Nione wale wametuma DM pale Dani. Again, the hashtag is Good Morning Kenya. We always appreciate you for tuning in, sharing with us your thoughts, how you enjoy the program. I see hapa Kelly anasema that chick is the queen of Photoshop, absolutely loving her work. This is in regards to Mini Chep's projects that she's been on social media. So much support has been coming in. Guys saying that they love her work. She's doing such a great job at just recreating the humor that we take so casually and yet could make such a difference. And anafaa kutumia hizi vitu kuelezea, I will not use that word, but let me look for a more decent word. You know, the way we use satire to just talk about the evils in society. Now, in light with what politicians wanatufanyianga hapa kwa nchi, she needs to like take that and present it in a comical way. Ndio tuache kukasirika every time we think about our politicians. I don't know, Dee, what you have on your end?
You know, that comment reminds me of what I was telling you earlier.
Yeah.
Of her latest picture. And if you go to Twitter, you'll actually see it. This is a picture of like a cow, very big, and she's there underneath, Kataini herself, milking it.
Yes.
And she was so particular not to put a caption on it, lest people misinterpret or misunderstand what she's trying to say. So she asked, how can we caption this picture? And the kind of comments that were coming through. You see, if you can't remember, anytime we keep talking about our state of the nation and things we feel we should do better, how we should come into place, it just makes you realize that we are tired as Kenyans. But then I begin thinking, are we only tired on socials? On the socials? Only when commenting? And that's it, that's where it ends.
We're not angry enough. You remember when we're having that conversation, we're not angry enough. And this is that actual photo that Dee is talking about.
Umeipata?
Nimeipata. Ng'ombe imetoka kukamuliwa. Ndio hiyo hapo on your screens. You'll be getting it in a bit. But it just goes on to tell you so much.
I wish you could go through the comments underneath.
Let's actually tuone comments watu wanasema nini. Alikuwa ameandika akasema nisaidieni ku caption.
Yeah.
Marion anasema continue exposing your ideas huku nje watu hawalali. Register the rights immediately na utarudi kube kama kina Omosho Tahidi. Hi, and this is, by the way, it's a wake-up call for the creatives when it comes to protecting your intellectual property. We're going to be having that conversation again, by the way. We had it sometime, I think a year ago, about intellectual property, how you can go about protecting it, because hapa kuna mtu anasema, actually there's somebody who has been using her name to run a whole YouTube account.
Already?
Yes.
Nando ameanza tu.
There are so many parody accounts that are using her content, illegally mind you, and they could be actually gaining from this. So some advice from Marion here to just protect your work so that tusikuje kubeka kama what we have been saying with Omosho Tahidi. Hi. Olewai Monde anasema the imagination world is huge. You still what she's produced today and she comes out with 99 better ones. As someone says, you sound bitter. Again, going to issues to do with intellectual property. Kuna mwingine anasema, I'm so amused. This is utterly impressive. Marion goes on to say, I will contact you to work with a particular party. Then there's John Amunya who says, getting a share of the 2 billion from the cow. Getting a share from the 2 billion from the cow called Kenya. Let's see. Abdallah anasema, you'll forgive me, but I've been using your pics to tell my children bedtime stories of an ancient land where a young lady got lost in and only to find herself being a tiny species as compared to the inhabitants. Captivating, and I stopped to show one of your photos every episode. This is a good hack for parents. You can be able to get her pictures and use it to tell a story, especially if you have kids. Let's see. John Mbashia anasema, link up with this other particular person, come up with a book. We could use some bedtime stories with such content. Again, a hack for parents. And finally, huyu ni Melan Kisa anasema, vile hii uchumi inatukamua.
Sunaona ndizo hizo.
In regards to this picture, vile hii uchumi, hiyo hapo, inatukamua.
Now, Womboy, the director anasema tunamaliza, lakini nimeona kitu hapa yenye I think tomorrow on trending topics you might want to talk about. Sure. I don't want my husband's name after my 2 names.
Niliona hiyo. Tutaiongelea kesho. And as well as many other stories. But tomorrow we also have such a dope interview lined up for you. We're going to be having a Nigerian artist. Na unajua ile ngoma ya baby ya kale cartoon. Yes, we're going to be having Joe Boy joining us tomorrow all the way from Nigeria to just talk about his musical journey, because this guy has blown in a space of about 3 years now. He has grown from making covers to leading the charts in the global musical scene. So be sure to join us tomorrow for a dope end of week show. I'm Jane Wamboy. Tupatane tena kesho. Have a lovely day. God bless. See you tomorrow.
And I'm Dorina Rangia. Till tomorrow. Good morning.
He is a 19-year-old alumnus of Butula Boys High School who is aspiring to be a great basketballer.
Just like playing basketball as a hobby, prevents me from being idle and makes me socialize with others. Basketball imenisaidia sana, imechange life yangu, imeprevent mimi nisi idle kwa streets, niko involved in something. At least nijijenge na nijenge pia community. Almost pia basketball imenisaidia ku move places all over the country, playing with different players from the country and gaining experience.
Meet Keith Okola, who plays for KCITI in Nairobi's Eastleigh suburb. The game has transformed him to better his life as well as skills.
In high school, when I was in Form 2, I just enjoyed the shooting, the dunks, so I just said that I want to be part of this, and that's how I came into basketball. As a big man, I performed my role well. Mostly, in my case, I'm a rebounder, so I've specialized in rebounding, so the rebounding and the effort I put in helped us proceed to the regionals.
Keith is humbled by his past experiences, which saw him achieve a lot while in school.
Persistence in training, working hard, doing all we can, putting in our efforts to complete the task that everyone enjoys. Everyone likes winning, so we put it in our heart that one day we'll qualify, go further stages.
He recalls their games against Friends School Kamusinga, who gave them a run for the top honors.
Mostly it was Kamusinga High School and Sigalame. They were better than us because of just what they were exposed to. We were not that exposed to basketball, but they were exposed, went a lot of outings, the plays, but for us it was just training. Yeah, that's why they learned a lot outside compared to us, because us was just our coach in school.
All in all, he learned a lot which helped him fit in at KCITI.
I studied at this college, so when I came here, one day I saw them training and I joined the team. It's a good team. It's us a rank, but because people like it and they enjoy our games, the way we play, so it's at a good rank.
The centre, who is pursuing a course in electrical engineering, has managed to balance his coursework and sports to help him progress on and off the court.
It's a course I like, and I like the thing it entails, like just being innovative, doing things like the repairs, the what. So I like it. It's just a matter of balancing. When it's time for class, you just go to class. When it's time to play, you play, and put in more effort in both.
Keith is grateful to his coach Humphrey Munaita for embracing him at the club, which has reverted back to its name, the Mustangs.
Ameniwezesha learn more skills about the position I have and change the way I play and make me perfect, improve my skills. Last year tulitolewa kwa playoffs na Baobab, but kulikuwa na problems, but this time we are coming up strong and we believe that we'll be heading to Division 1.
He joined KCT in September last year, the September intake. That is when he came and he found the team was on and he became a member of the team. As a rookie, he's doing very well because actually he played the playoff matches. I traveled with him to Mombasa for game 1 and he played game 2 and 3.
Munaita started the club to prevent young people from being influenced to join the Al-Shabaab terror group.
The main agenda of basketball is to get the kids, these young kids, from to make sure that they don't go into radicalization. When I talk about radicalization, people will think radicalization is they will think about the Somali community, but honestly, the Somalis are not radicalized. When you radicalize someone, you don't radicalize somebody who is born in the religion. You radicalize somebody who is not in the religion. So you just give them the negative information. The boys that I'm training, they are from around Eastleigh, Huruma, Umoja, Donholm, and even some come from as far as Syokimau.
Nairobi's Eastlands is infamous for many things, among others insecurity and rampant crime, and that's what young people like Keith have to contend with every day. But every success comes with a lot of struggle, pain and sacrifice.
Mostly the challenges I face is that our area is insecure, so most of the times games may be put late, so you can't attend the games because of the insecurity in the area. So you'll just have to miss them, the games or everything else. And second thing is just the distance from Huruma to this place.
Basketball has given a lifeline to stay focused amidst all that.
You should know yourself, what's your aim in life. So you should not do what others do. Do what your heart tells you to do. So I decide on my own, they don't decide for me. So that's why I'm not influenced by them. They might tell you they're arranging a party, let's say, something like that, and they want you to come. Almost what you know in parties, people drink, people smoke. So to avoid such things, I better prefer playing basketball than taking. Most of the streets, we know, drugs, people, youths take drugs. So sometimes they organize the tournament, basketball tournaments, which bring the youth towards, they start liking the sport. So they'll start playing instead of going to the streets and taking drugs, abusing them. So they'll just gain interest. They start gaining interest in sports.
Through sports, we have the power to indeed change lives, as Keith Okola has discovered in his quest to find his path to a brighter future.
You must see yourself somewhere in future. So you must do what you'll see that in future I'll be at a better place. So like in sports, sports can take you far. Some people earn their living through sports, so it's a good thing.
On the next episode,
kutoka Pwani.
Kuleta Huduma Center ilikuwa kitu kizuri kwa sababu unapata huduma zote under one roof.
Hadi katika milima ya kuvutia ya Taita Taveta.
Niko hapa Huduma Center hapa sasa hivi, nimeonyeshwa kila kitu na nimeshukuru. Siwezi kutafuta tiketi ya kwenda mpaka huko.
Na kuelekea hadi maeneo tambarare ya Maasai.
Mara nyingine nilikuwa naamka mapema niende kupanga laini, lakini hapa nimekuja ile masaa nimechukua almost 10 minutes.
It's a game changer. Imeleta serikali na mwananchi pamoja.
Next on.
Kama mja amemtekelezea mwenzake madhambi na akaenda kutubia kwa Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, anapaswa kumregeshea haki yule aliyemkosea.
Ina maana alifanywa maovu lakini hakulipa yale maovu kwa maovu, lakini alilipa maovu kwa kusamea.
Mshukuru Manani kwa kunipa mke mwema ulosafika moyoni mwenye wingi wa huruma. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah.
On the next episode of
Nataka kwenda kwenu.
Ukiniacha naondoka.
Umesahau wewe nilikokutoa?
Hebu nusha.
Hebu rudisha ile lingo lako huko.
Nzuri. Rangi ya chungwa.
Babu, basi kilichokuvutia kwangu ni nini?
Sina mimba.
Jamani, mume wangu utoke wapi?
Alafu ameona redio naye vile alikuwa ameanza kutangazia kijiji kizima.
Good morning to you. Thank you so much for staying with us on KBC Channel 1 each and every morning as we help you kickstart your day by letting you in on what is happening in the country, and of course also having studio conversations on issues that are shaping conversation in the country. The program is News Check, and we are glad that you created time once again to join us. My name is Safina Chieng Oma, and our sign language interpreter this morning is Lucy Maura. Of course, we're having this conversation just a day after what was popularly known as the Super Tuesday. Super Tuesday because yesterday quite a number of county assemblies were expected to debate and vote on the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill of 2020. As at yesterday morning, only about 13 counties had endorsed the bill, and we saw yesterday quite a number of counties also giving the bill a nod. As at the time we were going on air, 38 counties have already voted in favor of the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill of 2020. Still more to come, but if you look at the list, only Baringo County is the county that has so far rejected the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill of 2020. Just to take you through that particular list of counties that have already endorsed the bill, it is Siaya County there, Kisumu County also, and of course we have Homa Bay County, the county of Busia, West Pokot, Trans Nzoia County, the county of Kajiado, Kisii, Vihiga. We saw Nairobi also the other day joining in the list, Laikipia, Samburu County, Kakamega County also endorsing the bill, Narok, Nyamira, Taita Taveta, Murang'a County, the county of Bungoma, Kitui, Makueni, Nyeri, Lamu, Nyandarua, Kirinyaga, Garissa, Machakos, Mombasa, Nakuru, Meru, Tharaka Nithi, and Bomet, together with Kiambu County also joining in the list yesterday. We also saw Marsabit County unanimously voting to give the bill a green light. Kwale County, Migori, Isiolo, and of course the county of Tana River. And the list can continue whichever direction this takes, but of course as it stands, it has already gotten the support of at least 24 counties, which is the constitutional threshold to give the bill, the green light to move to the next stage, that is the National Assembly. And that is why we're here this morning to talk about what next for the BBI bill. That is how it is popularly known. What next for the BBI bill on the road to the referendum, and what are some of the issues that we should be talking about as we dissect the contents of this particular bill going forward. And I will be letting you in on who I am having this conversation with right here in studio. It's a panel of two gentlemen, but of course it's a program that usually also focuses on issues that are happening, events that are currently happening in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, and other parts of the country. This morning, our reporters are also following up on other issues that are shaping the news in the country. And here's our reporter's diary to just have a glimpse of what is happening in Kenya today. Tracking for you this morning. So in between, we will be linking up with our reporters concerning those issues they're following up for us. But in studio, we want to kickstart our conversation right away and talking about what next for the BBI initiative. And this is coming a day after the Super Tuesday. I've just taken you through the list of counties that endorsed the bill. In studio to help me unpack this matter is sitting at the far left, Peter Njagi. He's a lawyer. He's going to give us some legal perspective on this particular subject. Thank you so much, Peter, for creating time for us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we have Martin Andati, a political analyst. Always a pleasure to have you, Martin. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Safina.
All right. So, yes, so yesterday there was the Super Tuesday. I want to start by getting your quick comments on whether the support the bill got across the counties came to you as a surprise or it was something that you had anticipated. Let me begin with you, Martin.
It was not a surprise. And, Super Tuesday is borrowed from the US. Mm-hmm. When they have the primaries, there is a there's a time you have a number of states voting to determine who becomes the candidate. So basically, we borrowed that phrase from the Americans. But looking at the kind of lobbying that has gone into it, both overt and covert, it was not a surprise because you saw the president go to Mount Kenya and spent 4 days actually in Mount Kenya, trying to reach out to the leadership, including the MCAs, to try and show up support. Because there had been perception out there that the bill was very unpopular in Mount Kenya. So the president personally took initiative and engaged very robustly with the MCAs, of course with goodies. You know, the president is still powerful and he controls the purse. We have the constitutional commissions, but the president has a very big say in how some of those things are done. So you saw him, the MCAs have had issues with asking for the car grants, and he acceded to that demand. Two, the MCAs are getting the ward funds. So, I mean, it will not, it doesn't make sense for you to reject a bill which, because in some of the counties, the governors have refused to give MCAs the ward fund. So, and that is a political tool, just like the MPs have CDF. The MPs also want a fund which they can oversee and which will give them some latitude to be able to do a few things in their own areas away from the supervision of the governors. So there is no way most of those MCAs were going to reject the bill. And you can see then the numbers have already been met. So it's a question of do we get the others to complete the process? Or,
yeah, I was about to probe you gentlemen on that, but we'll come to that later. I also want to get your views about this, Peter. 38 counties, I mean, is this something that caught you by surprise, or is it something that you had anticipated?
Thank you, Safina. I think the countries just did whatever they were expected to do within the perimeters of the law, because after the verification of the IBC of the required 1 million signatures as per the Constitution, Article 257, then the next conveyor belt is the IBC, is that the same is referred to the counties. So essentially they're just whatever is natural for them to conduct their constitutional mandate. In terms of the outcome, based as my colleague here has mentioned, there was a concerted effort to ensure that the bill sails through, and it is only natural that you'd expect, based on the political scenario and the environment of the day, that it would have a sway and would have actually be on the positive in terms of the affirmation that we witnessed yesterday. So it was not a surprise to me.
All right. Martin, is there any specific county that probably stood out for you in the manner in which they voted? In the list of counties that voted yes for this particular bill, considering the opposing voices that have been there and talks about, you know, this bill not being popular in certain areas, is there anything that stood out for you? Even looking at Baringo voting no, is there anything about that list that is, you can term as a highlight or something different?
Well, Nakuru, if what we were, the information that was coming in was true, the voting was along tribal lines. So there was basically, you know, most of the MCAs, they are from the Kikuyu Nation and the Kalenjin Nation. So you could clearly see the divide, the tribal divide, which is very unfortunate. Then you have Bomet, which is supposedly one of the strongholds of the DP. And you know, the DP has been, he is not coming out. He's actually become the new watermelon in town. He's not coming out to say he's opposing, and he's not coming out to say he's supporting. So, but he's been sending mixed signals. So there was an expectation that Bomet, because Bomet is one of his perceived strongholds, so it was expected maybe they will go the Baringo route. But you see, I watched a bit of the discussion in Bomet on your TV here, and the MCS said they are supporting the bill because they are bound to benefit from it. So, and you know, the MCAs are not just robots. They also know that if the bill is good and it's going to make their governance easier, you don't use it to settle political scores. You know, part of the reason you saw the 2010 referendum, William Ruto used that to consolidate the Kalenjin nation. So he didn't oppose the constitution per se because he believed it was not good. But he was using it to send out a political message. But you know, right now he's in government. He is the deputy president. And Raila would have really relished William Ruto being on the north side so that they humiliate him as they build momentum for 2022. But I think he has realized, and you know, running a referendum against government will be very foolhardy for him, because that would basically mean they use that to force him out of government, because they have packaged BBI as one of the government agendas. So if he goes against it, then his continued stay in government will be untenable. Two, it's expensive. You know, it's basically an election. And you saw how the president and his team and his brother Raila put in resources and effort. Because you see, like in Western, you saw they dispatched the NC party leader Musalia, they dispatched Wetangula, they dispatched Eugene, they dispatched Atuoli. So all those fellas were mobilized to go and work on the Western numbers and Governor Oparanya and all the government Western region. Then Raila took control of certain regions. Then you had, he reached out to the rest of the fellas. The president also talked to the people who have serious clout. And of course, you know, that lobbying comes with the money. So if Ruto were to try and reach out to those MCAs, it would mean he puts in the same amount of money and effort or more. And you see, he doesn't have that kind of, even if he has money, he cannot spend the kind of, he cannot outspend the government. Because you see, these are government projects, so it's being funded from government coffers. So, and we have an election next year. So he must be strategic in how he spends his resources.
Still staying with you, Martin, I'm looking at Murang'a, where Irungu Kang'ata is coming from. I'm looking at Kirinyaga, where a powerful politician, Martha Karua, is coming from. She's actually shepherding the Linda Katiba initiative. I mean, does it send any message, them having voted, you know, in the opposite direction?
Karua doesn't have the kind of resources that would go against the resources that will be spent by government. You remember Karanja Kibicho, the PS Interior, comes from Kirinyaga. He's one of the key handlers of the president. You have Governor Waiguru, who has been very active in the BBI movement, coming from Kirinyaga. So she will do whatever it takes so that she doesn't embarrass the president, and also try to secure her political future. So Karua, you know, Karua is working with civil society, but they don't have, they have not put in the kind of resources that will be able to swing the MCS. I don't even think they have had any serious engagement with the MCS. Then they went out there, addressed a press conference, took a cup of tea, made certain statements, and that was it. So the lobbying, you know, you need, in fact, if you asked me, I think Dr. Okot did better lobbying with his Punguza Mzigo than, better than
Linda Katiba?
that Linda Katiba has done. At least he was going out there. And, you know, the county assemblies allowed him to even present in the assemblies. I have not seen any clip anywhere where the Linda Katiba has had an engagement in the assemblies. So apart from the press conference and talking in Fungamano, they have not done much. You saw in Ukambani, Governor Kibwana and Governor Mutua. You know, they were initially not very comfortable. In fact, Kibwana was part of that Linda Katiba. But when he met Raila, I think that must have also contributed. Because you remember he met Raila and Kitui and Orengo. So I think Raila must have talked to him to try and change his mind. But he also realized that the mood was, he was against him. So being the clever politician that he is, he says, look, I cannot go against what the majority have said. Right. So, and even Mutua. You remember Mutua had used some of those MCAs to try and say that he was not given the recognition that he needs. But when he realized that going against it, they would have goofed, because Kalonzo was now going to run with it. and it was going to mess them up. Then they had to make an about turn very fast.
All right, but it seems like there's a lot, you know, that we need to really look at when we are talking about this issue on BBI, but I'll come back to you later. I just want to understand, there's something you raised, and Peter probably can help us understand this. According to Article 257, after IEBC has verified at least 1 million signatures of registered voters, then the bill is given the green light to be debated across the counties. Counties have, I believe, up to 3 months to do this. So far, it is not even 1 month since IEBC did this. It was on January 26th, if I'm not wrong. It is not even 1 month. Already 38 counties have given the bill the green light. So does it mean that it moves to the next step, or we wait for the other counties to also vote, which could take 3 months as the Constitution provides?
Thank you so much, Safina. Maybe for the purpose of our viewers, it's good we understand the sequence on how we can amend the Constitution, or the genesis and the process, where we are and where we envisage to be. And that question is answered, that you've put before us, is answered in Article 257 of the Constitution. And there are 2 ways to amend the Constitution. One is that you can present a draft bill. The other alternative is that it can be through a popular vote, such that people can conglomerate and think they want to change. But if it's a popular vote, then it's reduced into writing in the form of a bill. After that, you present the signatures, which should be at least 1 million signatures, to the IEBC. And the IEBC, if it satisfies itself that the signatures are authentic, they are from registered voters, then it now proceeds to the next phase, which now the IEBC now presents the question for the amendment of the Constitution to the respective county assemblies, which we know now as the Constitution Amendment Bill 2020. Upon presentation to the respective speakers of the county assemblies, they have a timeline, which is 3 months, within which they should debate the bill. To answer your question, the 3 months is the maximum period, but if they are ambitious enough or they're effective as much, they can as well debate it much sooner than that. Upon the speakers of the county assemblies receiving that bill from the chair of the IEBC, he presents the same question to the county assemblies, who are now the MCAs, to debate the question that is presented before them. After that, it can be a yes or a no, depending on the voting patterns of the respective counties. The test that is required is a simple majority of the 47 counties, which is now 47 divided by 2, which comes to 24 counties.
Yeah, 24 counties.
So as we stand now, based on the vote yesterday, we are safe to say that the threshold has been satisfied, because now you're looking at 38 counties. So the ones that we may vote otherwise, I don't think they have any legal effect in terms of the next phase. So that now what should happen at this stage, since the 38 have made their determination and they have made their decision, the respective county assembly speakers ought to issue what you call a certificate to the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Speaker of the Senate, informing them of the respective decisions of their counties. So that now, after the Speakers of the National Assembly and the Senate is presented with that particular instrument, then you also present the same question now to the respective parliaments.
The Senate and the National Assembly?
Yes, both houses, because it's a big question to change our constitution. And we know that constitution is the supreme law of the land. So that's why the tests are there, to safeguard the integrity and the supremacy of the constitution. So the respective county speakers, after that question, they also have an equal pattern of 3 months, within which then they should put the question before the members of the respective houses. And there are 2 outcomes that may happen. One is that the National Assembly may vote yes or no, and their outcome and their envisaged solutions to those effects. In a similar fashion, the Senate may vote yes or no. The test that's required is a simple majority of both houses, so that if the simple majority is satisfied that they are okay with what was presented from the county assemblies, then now the respective speakers of the county assembly, National Assembly and Senate, then they also issue another certificate to the President, and now President because the amendment that maybe the listener should understand is an amendment that is changing the sphere of governorship in this country. It is changing the executive in terms of how it's operated because of the introduction of issues to do like with the Prime Minister. It is changing the governance structure of the devolved government and Senate. Article 97 will have been having now 98 senators, so that now this amendment has to be put to a question in a referendum within Article 255 of the Constitution, so that now after these two speakers now, they present that certificate to the President, then the President now gives the same and presents the same for a referendum.
Before you continue, so does it mean that as it stands, it's not affirmed or it's not sure that it's clear we are going to a referendum? It depends on the decision by the National Assembly and the Senate. I just want to get that clear.
No, it is automatic.
It is automatic?
Yeah. You know, irrespective of whether the two houses vote yes or no. Once, you know, the challenge is at the county assemblies. If the county assemblies, if 24 county assemblies rejected the bill yesterday, then it will not proceed to the referendum. It would have actually collapsed. And you remember that is what happened with Punguza Mzigo. So, but the moment it passes assemblies, then it goes to the two houses, and it's automatic. Whether they vote yes or no, it will still proceed to the referendum. You know, there are what he is talking about, what Wakil is talking about, there are articles which are protected in the Constitution, which you cannot amend in Senate, and which you cannot amend in Parliament.
It has to go.
So it must go to the popular initiative, to the Wananchi. And you know, there are clauses which they will amend. You know, like allowing. You know, initially we had members of cabinet assembly, cabinet secretaries, being technocrats. Now, one of the proposals is that you will have members of parliament being ministers. They're actually now not being called cabinet secretaries; they are being called cabinet ministers. So that will be effected in parliament. So, you know, those are clauses you just amend. Once they go to parliament, then parliament passes and Senate passes certain amendments, then they will go to the president, and he assents to those bills. Then to the bill, and those ones automatically they are done. Okay. Now, the ones which are protected by the Constitution, the ones he's talking about, even the members, you know, our MPs, we had fixed it in Parliament. But now we are expanding. So the number of senators, the number of members of Parliament. So that one now has to go to the popular initiative, which is a referendum. So once the MPs and the senators are done with their bit, it goes to the president. He accents to the ones which would have been passed. Then the other ones go to the IEBC to reframe a referendum question. And it is now on that referendum question that we will vote yes or no. But there are portions of the BBI bill which would have already been actualized if they have been passed by Parliament, by the two chambers of Parliament.
All right. Yeah. Gentlemen, you've really simplified that process for us to understand how it goes. I also want to know, you know, you didn't come out very clearly on the question I asked you on whether it has to wait for all the counties to vote or it can move to the next level at this stage. Many people are a bit concerned about that.
The question that we should be looking at is whether the threshold has been met.
That is what is fundamental.
That's what is fundamental, because each county has its own duration and its own timelines within which to debate that question. The issue that we should be addressing is whether these counties that have voted in the affirmative, how soon they'll present their certificate to the respective speakers, so that if the speakers of both houses are satisfied that the threshold has been met, in spite of the others not maybe conducting that question or giving a contrary decision, it still suffices to say that the test has been met. So that
and they are not obligated to do so, like a county can opt not to debate the bill?
Of course, that would border also on failure for purposes of the question that is before us, failure to conduct their statutory duties and mandate, because it's part of their duty. So we don't foresee a scenario whereby no county would definitely show light, because we expect them to legislate and debate it, because that's part of their duty. But in terms of the test and the number, because it's a question of numerical question, it has been satisfied as of yesterday. So that it now depends how soon or how fast the speakers of those particular counties will furnish the said certificate and the decision of the respective county assemblies to the speakers now of the upper houses, which is the Senate, and the Speaker of the other house, which is the National Assembly.
All right. Martin, earlier when I asked you about counties that are standing out, counties that probably there was something unique about their voting pattern, and mentioned counties like Kirinyaga, I heard you talk about MCAs a lot, and MCAs, there are people you can influence, there are people you can talk to. We had several counties talking about they voted after a public participation process. Where does this fall in this conversation? Does it mean that the MCAs had the upper hand in this, or it's members of the public who actually had an upper hand in the voting patterns? From where you said, from your judgment?
You know, when the IEBC sent the bill to the county assemblies, there is an obligation. You know, the Constitution now talks about public participation. So when the bill was sent to the speakers, then they put a public notice out there, and they set up public hearings. So it is, you know, the MCAs are representatives of the people, but the Constitution, they have donated power. So the Constitution obligates them to go and consult, and the forums in which you consult are the public participation forums. So they call for meetings in the grassroots, and the people there give their views. So it is on the basis of the views that the people give that now you decide to vote. Of course, you saw one of the MCAs in Bomet saying that the people in his ward told him in public participation that they are not supporting the bill. So he voted against. That is what he said. So we don't know, because we didn't see the public participation forum.
Did you see any of this? Did you attend or see any of this public participation?
They put notices in the newspaper.
Critics of this initiative are actually questioning this public participation process. Where did it take place? Who was involved?
They put out notices there. So, you know, if you have issues, you can either do a memorandum or you can also go to those forums and air your views. But you know, the timeline, some of the assemblies, the timeline, have they really done that effective public participation?
Yes, that's
you know, the intention of public participation was you educate the people so that they know what exactly they are contributing about. But some of the masses don't even know. Because, and I hope the chairman of the secretariat, my friend Dennis, and Honorable Unit, they need to invest more money in terms of, they need to get some money to be able to educate the people, especially through the vernacular stations, especially here. You know, you guys have very serious. You actually have almost every community's FM station. So they need to spend a bit of the money and get people to come in and explain what exactly the amendments that the implications and what amendments are proposed. I don't think that has been very effectively done. The same thing even in 2005, we had a similar problem. There was not that robust civic education. The same thing in 2010. We didn't have as much civic education as the masses should have had. So that you explain to the people some of the proposals and how they are going to affect the people. So that by the time the people go and vote, in the referendum, they already know what they are voting for or against. Rather than, you know, what you've had is the BBI, the reggae rallies, you know. You have a big rally, and then you have the big boys coming there, and then singing and saying nobody can stop reggae. Then people make all sorts of statements. So, and I mean, in those big rallies, the masses don't talk. So it is the politicians, especially the ones who are senior at the national level, who have the opportunity to speak for maybe, and you know, because of the cameras, you know, when politicians see cameras, they become crazy. So because of the cameras, you have all sorts of things being talked about. Yeah. So you don't get the real message going out there. So I hope and believe that this time the approach will be a bit different. They have said they are starting rallies again on 1st of next month. But why don't they spend a bit of money and get people who understand the issues to to come and explain to people in Kiswahili, to explain to the masses who don't understand Kiswahili in a language they understand, in those vernacular stations. So that, because BBI, the proposals are meant to make the life of the people better. And if it's the people you are governing, why don't you explain to them in a way that they understand why you are proposing certain things to be done? And that way, it will be very easy. They will not spend so much money and time running around doing some of the things they are doing.
Let me also get, Peter's, comments on this issue of public participation. The law provides for it, but have we explored it? Ideally speaking, in a process as crucial as, amending the Constitution, how should this process of public participation be conducted? Who should be doing it? And what is it that should, shape the conversation that is taking place in these forums?
Thank you, Safina. The issue of public participation is a big question which has actually been even put before the courts to determine what amounts of public participation. We're even getting to a point you're asking who is the public. And who is the public, and the number we should be looking at in terms of the public and how to conduct those forums. Do you conduct it through maybe technology and put a questionnaire? Should it be put through barazas? And those are issues that are raised every time, even in tribunals, which determine, like even tendering process, you can those questions arise. So how about a constitutional issue? So you can see it's a very big issue in terms of public participation. But the issue that is for the constitutional amendment, the issue of public participation seems to be canvassed through the county assemblies. Because if you look in terms of the hierarchy of the structure on how to amend the Constitution, you see that the county assemblies have been given so much weight so that, in effect, the outcome of the respective county assemblies has a lot of impetus in terms of how the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020 is going to be determined. Because you look at, there are usually 4 spheres, if I can determine them into 4 categories in terms of how it should be looked at, which we have discussed before. You look at the issue of signatures, 1 million, that one has been satisfied. So that one has been done. The second house sphere is the county assemblies. But even that issue of signature is also contentious. Because when you register as a voter, you don't sign. So when they are verifying signatures, they verify against what? What are they using against? Because you don't have a sample signature. If I'm verifying your signature, then I need to have a sample. But in the voter registration process, you don't sign. So how do you verify a signature? You are verifying it against what? The verification happens in the context of that the registered voters have been presenting that question and they associate with it. So there is nothing to, it's not a question of counter-checking, but it's a question of confirmation. However, for purposes... Was it Machozi Mondays, or was it during that time when NASA was actually wanted the IEBC out of, and there was that issue of signatures, and there were actually some people saying that there are signatures that are crazy, like you would find somebody drawing an animal. How do you, contest? If that is my signature, how do you say it's not, that it's not supposed to be an animal? That's how I signed. That's how some would argue. Fair enough. In terms of signatures, it's a question of identity or whether that person actually exists. And those are issues that within the domain of IBC. But in terms of the legal aspect, we are safe to say, because for the question to be put before the county assemblies, so we should be safe to say that the signatures issues had been solved and canvassed because it didn't arise. Otherwise, if it arose, it could have gone to the next phase. The next phase, which my colleague has said has no weight, which is the county, the Senate and the National Assembly. Because the question that is going to be before us now is a fundamental question in terms of the substance of the Constitution, which we had mentioned before. So that in terms of now the referendum, because that thing has to go through a referendum, because there are 2 possible outcomes, Safina, when this matter goes to the county, to the National Assembly and the Senate. They can say yes or no. But I used to associate myself with Martin's sentiments that whether it's a yes or no, it has no force of law. Because the issues that are before the bill are fundamental issues which are enshrined in Article 255, which are going to the core substance of the Constitution, like devolved government, issues of structure of the executive, issues about the ombudsman, those are additions in the judiciary, and most importantly about the supremacy of the Constitution. And now when the question comes to the referendum, you look the test or the threshold that is there, the Constitution says simply 20% of the registered voters in at least half of the counties, or a simple majority of the people who are going to cast their votes. So that my thinking would be, if you're able to attain the threshold through the county assemblies, which was attained yesterday, we are safe to say that this bill is home and dry.
For real? Martin?
They will marshal the numbers, and
it's
know,
a done deal?
There is still, who are the promoters? The president?
So where does this leave those who are opposing the BBI initiative? What will they be doing in the next
They have to go out there and try and rally support. But you know, rallying support, the way Kenyans know our politics, it is a campaign. And campaign time, people need to eat. So those who are against, do they have the resources to go out there? And even traction, look at even the kind of publicity they get. When they get, they call a press conference. How much airtime is it given on primetime news? So you see, the fellas who are promoting this process are political heavyweights. They own parties. They have, Raila has a number of MPs, he has MCAs, he has governors. So he has, he can raise resources. The same with President Uhuru. So, and then you have Kalonzo, you have Musalia, you have Wetangula. So they have all been roped in. And you've seen even in Bomas, when they do their meetings, he makes sure that each and every one of those key party leaders is present, so that they also reach out to their constituencies. So the other ones who are opposing, how much money are they going to put in?
So it's a money factor.
Yeah, money is a major factor because it's a political process. You know, this entire thing, the constitutional amendment process, ultimately it is legal, but it is also political because the people who are driving it are politicians, and they want to achieve certain interests. So because one of the main issues is having an expanded executive. Two, they want, in the process of expanding the executive, you are reducing the presidential powers a bit and creating a structure where you have a big table on the executive. Whether some of those positions will have as much powers is neither here nor there. But you know, in terms of the political class, you have enough posts to go around. So that gives them room to form a very big coalition. And with that coalition, it becomes even very easy for them to seek political power. So they are looking at all those dynamics. So there are the legal issues. They are using the political process to fix legal issues. So they're the ones who are out there who are against, and they don't have much in terms of resources. Then you have very little impact, because you will not get as much. You can't call a rally, because calling for a rally and mobilizing costs money. You can't get as much in terms of media coverage, because that also costs resources. So it becomes a challenge, and that's why the no team needed somebody who has a bit of resources, political money, and a political muscle. But you see, the expectation was the DP will do it, but the DP has chickened out. He's not ready to burn his money on that referendum.
But he has not said he's not supporting.
He is neither supporting nor... I told you when we opened Safina, I said he's the new watermelon in town.
Really? Anyway, you know, so gentlemen, what should guide the next phase? Because right now the proponents of the initiative have said they are going to engage in yet another tour of meeting the people and popularizing the BBI initiative. We saw this, BBI has been around for a very long time. We had BBI 1, we had BBI phase 2, we had the validation hearings. There's been constant talk about BBI and engaging the public. Right now at the county assemblies, there was talk of public participation. What should be different about this next phase for it to add value in the journey of changing Kenya's constitution? What should be done differently based on what you've witnessed, even how the politicians have been spreading this gospel, how the language they've used, how they've tried to popularize this initiative? What should be different this particular round?
Thank you, Safina. The question about popularizing should also be read in the context of the timelines, because the Constitution provides for timelines within which this whole exercise should come to a close. If you look at when this question for the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020 was presented to the respective county assemblies, it should have been around, was it January 26th? So if it was January 26th and the Constitution provides for a timeline of 3 months within which to discuss and debate that particular question, it pushes you to sometime in April 26th, within which they had the latitude of time to debate on it. But you can clearly see, hardly even before the month is over, the question has been answered, and the answer is a resounding yes from those particular counties that debated on it. So that this question may be put for a referendum way before the envisaged 3 months period that each organ of government is provided and authorized to debate. So that the issue of public participation will have to be understood when the president now puts that question for referendum. And how I was saying that the answer is as good as a done deal is because the test that is provided for in Article 255 is a very small threshold compared, like even an election, a presidential election, which provides for 50+1. Here you're talking about 20% of at least half of the counties, or a simple majority of the citizens voting in the referendum, so that you can clearly see that the issue of the ability of it to sway through is very high based on the past precedents and the past conduct and the past history of electoral processes in this country. But had it failed at the county assemblies, then you could see it was actually, it would have been dead on arrival. But now that he has satisfied that test, the issue of public participation will be more or less like rubber stamping whatever has been passed because of the threshold that has been there. So those are the issues that maybe our viewers could be thinking through, but it's also important for the drivers or the proponents or the knowers who are pushing it to actually ensure that public participation is done, so that by the time the citizens are being put that question before them, they are knowledgeable and they are aware of what they are actually going to execute.
Yeah, Martin, I know you touched on that a bit earlier, but there's been concern about politics overshadowing the process, like sort of we may miss the point if we just politicize this whole process. Also, you know, just to engage you on the same question, if you were to give advice, how should we take advantage of the next phase as a country, so that when it comes to the time when wananchi are expected to vote on this particular bill, they know what they are doing and they actually make informed decisions? How should we take advantage of this?
The way I said it would have made more sense if they spend more in terms of resources, in terms of conducting education. But you know, these are politicians, and they want to score political points. You know, and you know, the sad bit about political rally, you don't have control over what people say. You know, once people go into a BBI rally, it is very difficult for you to, because you know, you don't put them in a classroom and tell them, you know, you will say this, so and so. So it's not controlled. So people go out there, and they will say all sorts of stuff, you know. Some will be there insulting the DP, some will be there settling their own local political wars, some will be there now wanting to be seen near the president, some will be trying to move near Baba so that they say their Baba is a favored candidate in the coming elections. So all those shenanigans. But you know, you already see, because of the fallout in NASA, there is some slight disagreement. They are not going to do joint rallies. You saw ANC said they will do their own BBA rallies. ODM is going to do their own BBA rallies. Then you have the president and his team. So they are now not going because, and you know, the initial thinking was Raila would be able to get all these guys on board. Then they all speak, then he speaks last. So he hoists himself at the top. Unfortunately, because the political dynamics have also come in and they have changed. The guys
in one way or the other, this is closely tied to 2022 general elections.
Yeah, it has a big bearing on 2022 because, you know, once you change the structure of government, some of the people who wanted to vie for governor, they were looking at the money. But now that they know some of the moment the bill goes through, Then MPs become ministers. Then some of the guys don't now need to go and become governors. You realize you can vie in a small place, become an MP, and negotiate to become a prime minister or become a deputy prime minister or become a minister, which is more powerful than even some of those governors. So that changes the dynamics completely. So the people now are going to position themselves depending on interests. Two, it also makes it easier for coalition forming because you see, after the NASA fallout, after they lost the elections in 2017 and the mock swearing in, Raila duped them because that's the truth. He promised them that he will not run, but all indicators are that he wants to run. So he cannot now go back to them and cheat them that, look, you guys support me again in 2022, then I'll not run in 2027. So they had to look for something.
He's also another person who has not outrightly said.
He is not outrightly said, but you know, the actions speak louder than the words. Yeah. So you see, you need now to have something concrete that you can use to lure your partners, which I think is good for the country. Because, you know, the presidents which we are having now, the Ferrari, where you have the president and the DP, is a bit constrained, especially in a country where you have too many communities. And each of those tribal chieftains wants to have something, which they take to the community and tell them, look, we are also on the table. So you have enough slots now. You will tell some, you will be prime minister, you will be deputy, this one will be the other deputy, the other one will be speaker, you know, that kind of arrangement. Whether there will be real power in those positions or not, it's neither here nor there. But they will have at least...
You feel by expanding the executive, we can actually, you know, sort of achieve a leadership style that is inclusive?
In terms of perception, yes.
Why do you use the phrase perception?
You know, you cannot be sure whether some of those positions would have real power. Because you see, the kind of prime minister you are having now is not anywhere close to even what we had in the Grand Coalition government. You see, the Grand Coalition government was even anchored in law. And of course, the initial arrangement, which Wako watered down, was better. And you know, the prime minister then was more powerful. But after they went back and Wako consulted his client, they played some mischief with Orengo and watered down the powers that Raila would have had. So this one, you know, he can be fired, he can be appointed and sacked by the president. So it's not that powerful, you know. And he is basically the supervisor of the members of parliament. You know, what they were initially looking at was an executive prime minister, but you know, that will cause problems. So what we have now, what they are proposing, is more like what we have in Uganda and what we have in Tanzania, where you know, in Tanzania, if you ask anybody, I'm sure you don't even know who the prime minister of Tanzania is. So, but you see, he's some senior minister who is above the other ministers with some semblance of power.
So it's not even about the positions, it's about how much power each position comes with.
Yeah, they'll have some power so that you appease those communities so that they don't feel left out.
Will we ever come out of this cycle, Peter? From your perspective, we're talking about tribes, you're talking about creating positions to sort of come up with a formula that will be inclusive, but still questioning the amount of power each position will come with. I mean, do we perhaps need to redefine national positions for us to go beyond tribe, for us to really have somebody, doesn't matter which religion, which tribe you come from, but you represent the whole nation by the fact that you hold a national office, or I'm becoming too ambitious?
Thank you. You're not ambitious because dreams are valid.
Yeah, I just had to ask that because, yeah, we always have this culture of, I have to see somebody there that I know or I can associate with for me to feel like I can benefit from the national cake. I mean, can we ever go beyond that?
I think you can go beyond that because the agenda for today's discussion being the BBI, and you had talked about the referendum and public participation. Those are the questions that should be addressed in terms of why should we have this particular bill going through. And we are getting there. I'm very optimistic because if you look at the sweeteners, as someone would call them, particularly on the question of the youth, you've asked whether you have to know somebody, like when you have the youth fund, which talks about that the youth can be able to access some form of facility and be assisted. The issue that we talk about, the HELP Act 1995, which now helps the young people who are coming out from the universities, such that they have a 4-year freeze of their loan, which they're supposed to pay to HELP. And after the 4 years, if they have not been able to get any meaningful employment, then the interest is also frozen. If you look at the question about the ombudsman, so that the people who may not be easily accessible to justice, because justice comes at a cost, can easily bring their complaints and also be able to check the excesses that may be happening on the judiciary. That is something that would help in dispensation of justice. And most importantly, the question about the prompt payment bill 2020, because many other people who have supplied to government or they have offered goods and services, but when it comes to payment, you need to know somebody who knows somebody for you to be paid. But if these things, if they're enshrined in law and they actually have basis, and that hinge would actually be able to assist the mwananchi to be able to get the fruits of their labor, and most importantly be able to accord them an opportunity to live a decent life. And maybe as we move on, maybe we could even consider the issues, the fundamental issues that are happening with this particular instrument in terms of the executive, the judiciary, of government. If you look like the question of the judiciary, it changes a few things, like the qualifications of the CJ now. It's going to be increased from 15 years to 20 years. The question about the appellate court judges, they increase it to 15 years from 10 years. If you look, the question of the JSC, it's going to be changed so that these people, the ombudsman, will also be sitting in the JSC, so that these checks and balances, if they really are to be harnessed and they are going to be implemented, they would be able to give the equilibrium that is desired for a society to live a decent life and for society to be guided by the rule of law.
All right, Peter, thank you for doing that, because it helps viewers understand more about some of these proposals contained in the BBI report. And, you know, going forward, in the next phase, I believe, like all of us agree, that is what should go on. You know, Kenyans are supposed to understand deeper what they are actually supporting or not supporting. And it takes a personal initiative as well. I'd just like to tell our viewer, it takes a personal initiative for you to do this, because a majority would depend on politicians to interpret and tell them what the BBI bill is all about. At a personal level, take time and read it, so that when you're making a decision, it's something that it is influenced by your own interest as a Kenyan. Unfortunately, we've run out of time for this conversation, and I'd just like to give you both a chance to give us your final remarks from, you know, what we've talked about going forward. What is it? I've said my own. I'd like to give you a chance to say your own. What is it that you'd like Kenyans to ponder over, to think about, even as we journey on in changing Kenya's constitution? Let me begin with you, Peter, and then Martin, you can conclude for us.
I thought my senior should have started. That's okay. But thank you for this opportunity. I wish to thank you for inviting me to this show. Moving forward, I think the question that now should arise is how the inaction of the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020 is going to foster good governance in this republic. It's going to enhance the system of law, and most importantly, how the common mwananchi is going to be hinged in terms of access to the rule of law. Thank you.
All right, Martin.
It's an opportunity, because the president is exiting, and we have, he says he has no interest, but you know, he's a major player. So there, you know, what should have actually, in an ideal situation, what should have happened is we should have had a national constitutional audit conference. But you see, we slept on the job, because that time we were too busy focused on the electioneering of 2017. So we let that opportunity pass. But now we have a constitutional moment. So what we need to do is effect the changes that we want to effect. Then we look around and see what other changes can we look at the Constitution. I believe even after we have effected these changes, we can still carry out an audit so that we see which other clauses do we need to improve in the Constitution so that we improve on the state of governance. But by and large, the Constitution alone will not address all our issues. And you know, some of the things that we have put in BBI, they're just administrative. Like what he's talking about, paying suppliers promptly. You don't need a law. Because if people have supplied, it is automatic. They need to be paid. Yeah, because you see, ultimately, it breaks the chain. And even once you break the chain, you saw like yesterday, I was watching the news here, there are circles. Money has been deducted. People have, you remit your money to they deduct your money for the circle, but they don't remit. So it becomes very difficult. Now, if you want to go and borrow a loan, the circle cannot give you money because it doesn't have money, yet your money has been deducted. So, you know, those are basically administrative issues which don't need to be anchored in law. And, you know, we also are legislating because legislation per se will not address all our issues. So let's see, can we have political will? Can we improve the governance of this country without necessarily legislating on everything? But now we have a BBI moment. Let people be educated. Let the people vote. After they have voted, then how do we make the country a better country? In terms of the youth not having jobs, you don't fix it by letting them languish out there for 7 years. We need to create an enabling environment so that we even have an opportunity of importing manpower. You create a business environment, create jobs. The government must stop overborrowing because we have overborrowed. And you know, we borrow, then we steal. So we must reduce what we are borrowing so that there is enough money for the private sector because the government doesn't create jobs. Two, we are borrowing and spending so much money in recurrent expenditure. So we must, whatever we have borrowed, let us complete the projects which are there without starting new ones. Then now we put money also. And we also put quite a bit of money in infrastructure, which is good. But you know, infrastructure alone will not grow the economy. We must be able to invest in sectors which are going to create wealth. So that infrastructure, you have good roads, but you must have the farmer in Muranga, you must have the fisherman in Homa Bay, we must have the farmer in Huisero producing enough food to take to the markets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So those are some of the things we need to look at.
Thank you so much, Martin and Ndati, for that. And of course, Peter Njagi. Peter Njagi is a legal expert. Martin Ndati is a political analyst. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for creating time for us. As we were just unpacking what lies ahead on the road to changing Kenya's constitution a day after 38 counties passed this particular bill. Not a day after, actually so far since counties began debating on it. 38 counties have given the bill a nod, and we are yet to get information on how other counties are also going to be voting on this particular process. Now we want to pave way for the next conversation. We are going to be focusing on the education sector. We know that the COVID-19 pandemic taught us many lessons and transitioned our way of life. There are a lot of schools and learning institutions that transitioned into the online platform. How is this working? Have we invested in this as a country? And what can we do to better digital learning going forward? I'll be having that conversation on the other side of the break. Do join me for that. My name is Safina Ching. Do stay with us.
On the next episode,
kutoka Pwani.
Kuleta huduma center ilikuwa kitu kizuri kwa sababu unapata huduma zote under one roof.
Hadi katika milima ya kuvutia ya Taita Taveta.
Niko hapa huduma center hapa saa hii, nimeonyeshwa kila kitu na nimeshukuru. Siwezi kutafuta tiketi ya kwenda mpaka huko.
Na kuelekea hadi maeneo tambarare ya Maasai.
Mara nyingine nilikuwa naamka mapema niende kupanga laini. lakini hapa nimekuja ile masaa nimechukua it's almost 10 minutes.
It's a game changer. Imeleta serikali na mwananchi pamoja.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Max is the love of my life. I can't wait for us to get married.
Let's see. What is this? The paternity test between father and son is...
Max?
Hello.
Who's there?
Good evening, ma'am. I'm Maximiliano Montesinos, and I need to speak with Madam Dolores. Is it you?
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Picha nini? If you like, take me to high court, sue me, or take me to court of appeal.
Well, until everything comes back to normal, we just have to make do.
Teacher, that is unacceptable. This is not what we signed up for. This environment is worse than approved school.
You mean you still bruised over that mad incident? Grow up.
Well, did you have a mad fight?
I wish I could do that.
If you ask any man if he has gossiped before, he will answer with a loud vehement no.
Yes.
But of course we know that is not true. Men gossip.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Max is the love of my life. I can't wait for us to get married.
Let's see. What is this? The paternity test between father and son is...
Max?
Hello.
Who's there?
Good evening, ma'am. I'm Maximiliano Montesinos, and I need to speak with Madam Dolores. Is it you?
On the next episode.
Kutoka Pwani.
Kuleta huduma center ilikuwa kitu kizuri kwa sababu unapata huduma zote under one roof.
Hadi katika milima ya kuvutia ya Taita Taveta.
Niko hapa huduma center hapa saa hii, nimeonyeshwa kila kitu na nimeshukuru. Siwezi kutafuta tiketi ya kwenda mpaka huko.
Na kuelekea hadi maeneo tambarare ya Maasai.
Mara nyingine nilikuwa naamka mapema niende kupanga laini, lakini hapa nimekuja ile masaa nimechukua it's almost 10 minutes.
It's a game changer. Imeleta serikali na mwananchi pamoja.
On the next episode of
Nataka kwenda kwenu.
Ukiniacha naondoka.
Umesahau wewe nilikokutoa. Hebu nyusha.
Hebu rudisha ile lingo lako huko.
Nzuri. Rangi ya chungwa.
Babu, basi kilichokuvutia kwangu ni nini?
Sina mimba.
Jamani, mume wangu utoke wapi?
Alafu ameona redio naye vile alikuwa ameanza kutangazia kijiji kizima.
Back and thank you so much for staying with us. I told you we'll be switching gears and talking about matters education. In a bit, we'll be exploring how to enhance digital learning in the country. I'll be engaging Professor Washington Okeyo, the Vice Chancellor of Management University of Africa. But first, I want us to quickly follow up on some of the events that are happening today at Movenpick Hotel. The Office of the Data Protection Commissioner is marking 100 days. All right, we will be getting to that later. But right now, I just want us to also focus on something